All right, here we are for part 2. Going to be looking at the rest of the colors: green, white, blue, black, commons and uncommons. Sorted by rarity there, and then sorted by mana value within the rarity. So that brings us first to Cabaretti Initiate. Single green for a 1/2 Raccoon Citizen, and it has the activated ability of 2 and a red-white hybrid to get double strike until end of turn.
Yeah, I like this little guy actually. So
You?
me a one drop.
One drop?
we had to get to the point of the set review eventually, where I find a one drop I like. So
Yeah.
This is the first one I feel very passionate about and very into. So I think it's got a lot going for it. It's a 1 mana card. It's a 1 mana citizen, right? That matters a lot. You want to have citizens early so you can tap them for your green, white, gold uncommon. There's just other things that you have more citizens. Having one drops is important to a go wide strategy, so you can go like get the curve of creatures going. It's much better if you can go 1, 2, 3 rather than like 2, 3, 4. That just like shifts your turn cycle of when you get to Anthem by one whole turn. This is a little, the double strike isn't going to matter all that much, I will say, but it's going to come up when you get to put, some sort of enhancement on it. Even just a counter on this thing isn't too bad, right? Also, it's just like a cheap trigger for your alliance triggers, right? Just like a 1 mana alliance trigger. That's pretty nice too. I think just any 1 mana card is going to get a little bit of a buff when you have alliance cards. So, as much as it's going to be one of those classics. Like, I really like this card, talking it up, but I'm going to give it a C. I think it's a totally solid card. I think you're going to be happy with it.
I think this card is not that good, and I'm giving it a B+.
Okay, yeah, not into all my my well-thought arguments.
You're not selling me, not like you did on the you sold me, and your pitch worked for the red 1-drop. It's not working.
Yeah.
Not working here for this one, for me. But yeah, definitely can be wrong.
Yeah, I think that the double strike ability is not a huge selling point, but I do like just that it's a cheap card. All right, next up we got For the Family. 1 green mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control 4 or more creatures, the creature gets +4/+4 instead. Okay.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah, it's an okay trick, right? It's we were talking about 1 mana tricks where it's like how good the 1 mana tricks are not just like always good. You got some push and pull, but I think this one's pretty good. The fact that it scales in the late game to be +4/+4, again, that like lava axe or that deal 4 to the face. It's pretty important on your combat trick, and it's going to win a combat early, right? Win a combat on 3, play another 2-drop. I like it. It's a filler combat trick still, but I give it a D+.
Yeah, I think that seems good.
Sweet.
Next is Attended Socialite. 1 green for a 2/1 elf druid, and it has Alliance. It gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
I had to kind of temper myself on this card because I'm like so into 2-drops that grow to some degree, and I think the last time we saw one of these, I can't remember when it was, but you're like, these cards are never very good. These like green 2-mana cards.
Coiling Stalker was the last one.
Yeah, maybe it was Coiling Stalker.
Was bad.
Yeah, it was not good. And there was like the one of the ones that I think you likened it to was like the Garenbrig, the 2/2 from Eldraine that grows when you cast. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, when you cast an adventure creature.
Yeah, there's been a few of those. It's like, okay, you can attack as a 3/3, and this attacks as a 3/2, which is a little bit worse too. I don't think this card is particularly good. Now, it can scale a little bit where it can be a 4/3. It's like, ooh, cool. Like the curve of going this into the Magician, make a 2/1 and a 1/1 attack for a 4/3. That's actually kind of some good beats, but it's not even a citizen. I don't know. I think I'm kind of out on this one. It's just the 2/1 on its own is not going to be good. And 3/2 is not that much of an upgrade.
It's real bad. More Song Shaper than Coiling Stalker. You wish. You wish this was Tawashi Song Shaper.
Yeah, I think I am. Maybe that's an apt comparison, but it's
Song Shaper was an artifact itself and had 2 toughness.
Right. Yeah, Dawn Hard Disciple was another one. I was kind of into that.
It's a D+, D. It's just, this is not good.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a C- myself, but we'll move on. Next up, we've got Civic Gardener. 1 green for a human citizen. It's a 2/2. When it attacks, you can untap a land or a creature. Interesting. Yeah. So what's this doing?
Not being drafted by me.
Yeah, it's very vanilla, plain. Doesn't like. So the hope is you get to cast an instant, I suppose, or like you cast.
You cast a thing pre-combat, then you attack with it. You untap a land or whatever. This has vigilance. It's whatever. This is like another. This is more filler. It's a replaceable card.
I think it's even more filler than the last one too. I think I would just give this a D.
Yeah, I think so. Next up is Prize Fight. 1 green for an instant. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. And you also create a treasure token.
Yeah, not to do a full round of all the usual caveats we give, but I do think it's important to note that, fights aren't that good. Bites are okay, but fights tend to, we can tend to be wary of them, right? It's hard to set up a good fight. 1 mana fight cards, they can have replaced, but 2 mana fight cards, even as an instant, do kind of tend to underperform, right? It's really hard to get that exact lineup of like, ooh, my big thing kills the thing I want to kill, and you have to also do it when their shield's down because this is easy to get blown out on. I'm not very high on this kind of card.
Fighting a little better with your creatures having shields, sure. I mean, there are certainly small things where you go, oh, so maybe a little smash, man. This card is whatever. I give it a C. I like that you gave it a D+.
Yeah, I'm starting low on this. So I think this is not a very good card. I think time and time again we've just been unimpressed with these cards. So I'm going to start a little bit low on this one. I could come up, but I'm willing to take a stand here.
Yeah, I'm in for that. I'll go down to C-.
Sweet. All right. Next up, we got Broken Wings, 2 and a green, instant, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature flying. So it's an old favorite.
Yeah, I think this actually could be main deckable in this format. I know that's generally not the case, but there's a fair amount of flyers, and it'll depend if the artifacts and enchantments matter, but I could see main decking a copy of this.
Yeah, I think there's not a ton of them. They're scattered throughout the set, right? It's, coming off the world of Neo, don't be colored by,
no,
fade into
sure.
antiquity at all, for sure.
No.
But yeah, I think you would be fine to put this in your deck, and it's not going to be embarrassing, right? You could play it. It won't be great. You're probably not going to want to prioritize it, but that ends up being, I kind of want to call it just like a sideboard card.
I think so. Yeah.
If you need to play it, you probably could.
I think so. Next up is High Rise Sawjack, 2 and a green for a 2/3 elf citizen with reach, and whenever it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah, I don't like these cards very much. Just like the 2/3 reach spiders that get a little bit bigger when you block flyers. I put this. I'm looking at the spreadsheet here. I put it as D. I think you guys have it a little bit higher. I just don't think these cards do all that much.
Yeah,
really, I think
probably
they're just
true.
a bit small ball.
I think C- D+ is fine. I think this is probably replaceable.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just you play this and your opponent's never it's an okay sideboard card against a bunch of flyers, but especially if you're like best of one, your opponent's if your opponent doesn't have flyers in their deck, this card's pretty bad. Or
it's
just like a 2.
Just 3 mana 2/3 is not great. I agree. This next card is great.
Oh man. Yeah, we got Jewel Thief here. This is one of the few Busto commons in this set. So Jewel Thief is a 3 mana 3/3, 2 and a green. It's a cat rogue, vigilance trample. When it enters the battlefield, you make a treasure token. That's so much. That's so much for 3 mana.
Yeah, that's a lot. This card is phenomenal. Probably like second best common in the set.
Yeah, first or second. It's kind of a toss up between this and a white common we'll get to after.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of funny how these monocolored commons are better than the gold ones, and a lot of the gold uncommons too. I think you're going to be first picking this card a lot of the time.
A lot.
3 mana 3/3 we're pretty cool on, right? But give it vigilance, give it and trample. That's a pretty good boost.
Reduce its cost.
Yeah, reduce its cost. It's like bumps it up. This is got that plundering barbarian vibe where it's just like you cast a big thing in the next turn. Yeah, I think this card is fantastic. I think I'm willing to give this a B+.
B+. All right.
I think it's that good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm on B here, but I think it's really, really strong. Yeah.
Cool.
Next is Most Wanted. 2 and a green for an aura, flash, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+1, and when it dies, you make 2 treasure tokens.
Yeah, so we were just kind of talking about this kind of effect with the dagger, right? The thing that gives first +1 and first strike equipment when it enters. So it's kind of like a flash 2 +2 not +2 but +1 on this one. So it's like gonna either win a combat or trade in a combat, and if it trades in a combat, you get some treasure. So it's almost free-ish. I don't know. These cards tend to underperform.
I just don't like these cards. Like I didn't even what it was just like better in the last set than Sheltering Vows, but I can't even tell you the name because I didn't play that card ever.
The Historian's Wisdom.
I didn't play Historian's Wisdom either.
Yeah,
and that card was like fine. I give it a C-. It's probably even lower than that.
Yeah, I think so too. Yesterday me liked it a little bit more too. So I think I'm gonna give it a D+ probably.
Yeah, me too. Next up, we've got Social Climber. It's 2 and a green for a 3/2 human druid with Alliance, gain a life. Do you like this? Like you liked the deal 1 damage?
I don't know. Yeah, this is one that I have a hard time evaluating. So we've seen like Lunarch Veteran, and we've seen Prosperous Innkeeper. Those have been great cards, right? Just the cheap things that gain you a bunch of life. I think a 3 mana version. I'm not sure how much a 3 mana version makes it worse. A little bit. Certainly, right? You don't get the life gain.
I can tell you, makes it a lot worse.
You think it makes it a lot worse, eh?
I think so. And not on a defensive body.
Yeah, not on defensive bot. Not like you can make up for not being defensive if it's very cheap, like Lunar Veteran was, or Prosperous Innkeeper. Like, mind you, those cards also had other things going on where they came back and they gave you treasure too, right? So, I mean, if you just think of this as 3 mana, 3/2, gain 3, that's not a card we're very excited about. Yeah, like, it's not that like, a lot of times.
Brush Strider, this is not. That, you gain the life immediately, and then you trade this thing off.
Aspires to be Brush Strider.
You wish this was Brush Strider. You, like, I don't like this card very much.
The place this card is good is when you're in that mid game situation. Like, you're facing an aggressive deck, you're in that mid game situation. This comes down, and your opponent goes, "Oh, they just grown in it," because it is going to gain you 4, 5, 6 life, right? That is the best place for it. I think on curve, this is worse than its partner, Weedy Roastmaster, and I think that later in the game against most decks, it's also worse than Roastmaster. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one surprises us, but I think I'm going to start pretty low on this one. I think I'm going to go like C- or D+.
Yeah, I'm on D+ on Social Climber.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All
right, next up.
Love this card.
Yeah, I got Warm Welcomes. This is 2 and a green for an instant. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Create a 1/1 citizen token.
A 3 mana 1/1 flash that draws you a creature.
Poof. Yeah, so this one's interesting because you know how you often like to say when a top common is a top common, you can draft a lot of them, right? You feel like, yes, I want all the copies. This does get worse in multiples, right? Because you're thinning your deck of, you have less creatures in it, right? So it's like, okay, well, the more of this, the few, you're going to have some removal spells, you're going to have some other non-creatures. So I think the first copy is really good. The second copy probably doesn't dip off too much, but I think you do get diminishing returns past that. But as a baseline of just like you said, instant speed 1/1 draws you a creature with some selection. That's pretty good. Also, instant speed alliance.
5 is a lot. You have to have a really low creature count for this to miss.
Well, think about Blossom Prancer. How often did you miss on that? I'd say not an inconsequential number of the time, right? Or amount of the time.
I don't know what decks you were building. I wasn't missing on Blossom Prancer very much.
Well, you hit like a pocket of land plus a removal spell. I think that happened at least remember maybe those times are just sticking out of my mind, but yeah. I feel like it didn't happen too infrequently.
Yeah, I don't remember that happening very often.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, maybe those are just sticking out in my mind. But do you agree with the statement? Or I'm saying
they're diminishing returns, but I also think you're gonna yes. I agree, diminishing returns. So, but this is still a very good card.
Still good. Yeah. What do you want to give this one?
I'm gonna go C+.
Yeah, C+ I think is pretty solid for this one. All right, what's next?
Capenna Express, 3 and a green for a 6/6 vehicle. Sacrifice a treasure. Capenna Express becomes an artifact creature until end of turn and has a crew cost of 3. Do we need to argue about this again?
I was going to say,
or do you want to admit that this card stinks?
I'm not going to try to sell you on it this time, Ethan. I do not like this the 4 mana 6/6 crew 3. I don't think that is a powerful Magic the Gathering card.
Here's how you talk to. This is like I had nightmares about this. This is how you talked to me about that card last time. You go, "Oh, I actually like it quite a bit." That's what Alex says to me. He goes, "Oh, I like this quite a bit."
That is an Alex catchphrase, isn't it?
Oh, I actually like this. Why?
So
this is poop.
So I have heard some whispers of, maybe this is better than the blue one. I do not agree with said whispers because the problem with that card was never the crew cost. You could crew it if you wanted to. It was a problem, but it wasn't like the thing that made it from being unplayable. The thing that made it unplayable was you had to tap a creature, check as a 6/6, they go, okay, chump.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a huge deal. You've given up a bunch of tempo here, right? So the fact that you can crew this to treasure, I don't think it makes it a lot better. So
no,
even with Jewel Thief, right? People have been like, oh, you can crew this into Jewel Thief. That's okay. You can just cast your expensive cards as Jewel Thief.
I can just play Jewel Thief and that'll be fine.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give this one a D.
Yeah. All right, Glitter Monger is next. 3 and a green.
But if you have this card, you can you bump out a bunch of treasures.
You're still two cards for one actual thing. 3 and a green for a 1/4 elf rogue. Tap, create a treasure token.
Yeah, so talk to me about this card. This is more of an Ethan card than an Alex card. Do you like this one? Are you not into this one?
I'm skeptical. 4 mana 1/4 is a very bad body, and because it's a defensive body, you need it to block. And so it's making its first treasure theoretically at the end step of the following opponent's turn, right?
Right.
It's very slow.
Very slow. And blocks
repeatable treasure maker is powerful, I think. in this format. I think there's gonna be, you get the stimulus package or whatever. You really want as many things that say make treasure, and certainly repeatable ways to make treasure at that.
Yeah, I just keep thinking back to the stimulus package. We're just like, well, this is pump out, one. That's
and
not
I don't
bad.
know. I mean, it may be just treasure for splashing or for casting your cards that are in your family, whatever. I'm tentatively going C on this card as a maybe that's a not making a stance in either direction. But I think that this, maybe it's going to be like Synergy C+ or whatever. You'll know when you want it, but that's where I'm at with this card.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C- on this. I can definitely see it having places in decks, especially if you have a lot of treasure synergies. But I don't think I'm so into it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, what's next?
Caladia Strong Arm is 4 and a green for a 2/3. When ETBs put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature, and it has a blitz cost of 3 and a green.
Yes, this one is, I would say, a medium blitz card. So you're playing 5 mana. If you're not blitzing it, it's 5 mana for 4 or 5 worth of stats, and 2 of those
2 will
stats.
be hasted.
Yeah, that has haste. If you're blitzing it in, I think this one maybe is like, if this was a red card, I'd be into it. I think as a green card, maybe there's a green-red aggro deck, but I think the blitz mode of put 2 counters on something, hits you for 2.
There is a green-red aggro deck. It's Cabaretti.
Yeah, sure. I guess that is true. Yeah, that I'm thinking maybe
you get your alliance trigger plus you get 2 counters plus you draw a card. That ain't bad.
Is this an Ethan going, oh, I'm actually kind of into this?
Oh, I actually like this card quite a bit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we gave it the same grade. It's a C-, but I do think it's like slightly above that sort of replacement level. There's enough thing going on here, right? It's like it's a 5 mana 4/5 when you want that. It's a 5 mana 2/3 with +2/+2 and haste and enables an attack. Or it's the blitz thing, which is going to leave behind 2 counters on something and draw you a card. I think that's 3 different things that have applications that's not bad.
All right, Ethan, you've sold me on C- here. I agree. You've talked me up to slightly higher C-.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we've got the Rox Pummeler. 5 and a green for a 6/3 Rhino Soldier. It enters with a shield counter and has trample as long as it has a shield counter on it.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about this card. You gave it a C, though.
Yeah, I think it could be okay. So I think this is closer to Colossal Dreadmaw than it looks. Not as good, certainly. But so what's going to happen is you're going to have this, right? And your opponent either, they're going to probably the first time block with a small creature, right, to get the shield counter off of it, block with a 2/2 or something. And then it's going to hit them for 4, right? That's reasonable. And then past that, then they have to block with a top power creature to be able to trade. It is worse on average than Dreadmaw, but I do think that if there's ways to put more shield counters on, it's a pain, right? Is what I'm trying to get at here. It's not something your opponent can ignore. And maybe for your 6 mana card, you want more for that, more bang for your buck. I can totally get behind that. But I think when your opponent plays this, you're gonna be pretty sad about it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's just seems like it's 6 mana. It's so
yeah.
I don't know. I'm starting with D here. I think again, it's a card that if I see it in a deck, I'm not going to say what went horribly wrong, but it's also a card that I think I'm never going to miss.
So imagine going casting this on 5 from a Jewel Thief. Still, you're go on, Alex. Yes,
sure, but is that? I don't think the argument of you played this busted 3-drop that gave you a treasure, and then you cast a 6-drop ahead of schedule. You can say that about many expensive cards, right?
Yeah, but when I was talking about Jewel Thief, and I was like, oh, you can play a big thing. This is the kind of thing I was thinking about.
Sure.
So I don't know. I agree. I don't think it's a special card, but I'm going to say solid at C here. I think it is going to be. You're going to see this in the battlefield and be pretty annoyed. You're going to be like, ugh, that's actually a pain. Especially if you're trying to stabilize.
All right, yeah. I feel like this is a card that I'm skeptical on, but maybe the first time I see it, I'll just be like, oh, yep, this is a big problem.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. Next up is a first uncommon, Luxurious Libation. X and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn. Create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token.
And it's a very, very small, what was that card called from lower one? Briarhorn, I think, the Evoke.
Oh, yeah, the Evoke one, yeah.
Yeah, so it's got a little bit of that. Or that was
yeah.
a much better. That was a 3/3 that came in and gave +3/+3. Big game. It's not quite that, but you do get to instant speed trigger your alliance, which, I keep saying, but I don't know exactly. There's only a few cards I think that will actually matter with where it gives mid-combat buffs, but it'll come up. So if you think about this as just you cast it for 3, let's say. So it's a, X equals 2. Sorry. So it's 3 mana altogether. It's a +2/+2, 1/1 that gives +2/+2. that's not too bad. That's an okay trick. You win the combat, you get a 1/1. I think that you can have the fireball kind of aspect of this mode where it's like an unblocked creature, you deal 5, you deal 6. I think this does enough things where I'm pretty happy about it in like a Cabaret style deck.
I like this. I think this is just good. Like the 1/1 is a real card in this format. I think not like that I would spend 1 mana for a 1/1, but this tacked on. It doesn't take much more to be tacked onto that for me to be excited about this. The fact that this also scales can just like win the game sometimes out of nowhere, right? That fireball effect you're talking about, or lava axe effect. I like this at a C+.
Sweet, yeah, I'll join you there. All right, next up, we got Courier's Briefcase. 1 and a green for an artifact. It's a treasure. It says when it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 citizen token. You can sack it to add a mana of any color, just like any treasure, but also has an ability, Wooburg, 5 mana, white, blue, black, red, green. Tap it, sack it, and draw 3 cards.
Yeah, again, I like this a lot. Doesn't take much. Tacked on to a 1/1. This is like, I mean, doesn't gain you the life, but it's Prosperous Innkeeper, right? 2 mana, 1.
Sure.
2 mana, 1/1, make a treasure. And then it doesn't gain you a life like Prosperous Innkeeper does, but it has this alternate ability of, hey, you got a bunch of treasure sticking around, or you got great mana fixing. Cool. This is going to be draw 3 later.
Yeah, I think that, the whole idea here is this, well, if you're green-red treasure, it's not going to be that hard to sacrifice for Wooburg. You're just going to have all these 5-pillar mana producers in your deck. So, yeah, I think this card is reasonable. It's a little bit, like, I don't think you're going to slot it into just any deck. I think you're going to want to have it in, like, one of those more mid-rangey, late-game kind of decks. You're not going to put it in, like, a green-red aggressive treasure deck, right? But if you are going, late game, you appreciate the draw 3, yeah, it's going to be solid.
Yeah, I go C+ on the Briefcase.
Yeah, me too.
Next up is Riveteer's Decoy. 1 and a green for a 3/1. It must be blocked if able, and it has a blitz cost of 3 and a green.
Yeah, really interesting card. Kind of hard to parse, I think. I mean, we've seen kind of similar effects to this before. The blitz cost adds a little bit of a wrinkle in that. So on turn 2, it's just, it's a 3/1. Your opponent's often going to want to block the 3/1 anyways. It's just, okay, whatever. It's not a citizen, mind you. The 4 mana blitz cost is, when you do that, it essentially says your opponent has to sacrifice one of their creatures and you draw a card, right, on turn 4. That's a pretty okay deal.
Well, they may not have to sacrifice a creature. They might have a 4/4.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. They might have a 4/4, but most of the time they'll have to sacrifice their worst creature to put this in front of it. Is that good though? I think it's an okay deal. I think on just like your 2-drop that you can attack and block with.
The modality is good here. This is a 2-drop you can play on turn 2, and then when you don't want to play a 2-drop, it at the very least it will cycle and maybe at least enable an attack elsewhere. If they have to put their 4/4 in front of this, then maybe they don't have a good block elsewhere. I think this is just a solid C.
Yeah, solid C. Also, I want to mention, it's something we've said, and I think chat's mentioned this a few times, where it's like, oh, these X1s, there's a lot of like tokens running around. Mind you, that's going to be true. It's going to be very punishing in some matchups, these X1 cards. But in some matchups, it's just not going to matter that much, right? They're just not going to have a lot of 1/1 tokens, either from their color pair or their deck didn't pick a lot up. So an X1 is going to be similar to an X2 in a lot of spots. So yeah, I think solid C is good for this one.
Yep.
All right, next up we got Venom Connoisseur. This is 1 and a green for a 2/2 human druid. It's got Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, the Venom Connoisseur gains Death Touch on the turn, and if the second time the ability is resolved, all creatures you control gain Death Touch. Oh, you're A on this. I actually like this one.
Yeah, I can see that from Alex from the past gave it a B-. I don't know.
Yeah, well, at least I'm consistent with today. I still like the card.
That's true.
So, I think that maybe I'm overrating the...
How often are you double triggering Alliance, buddy?
Right, maybe I'm over-indexing how often you're going to be doing that. I think it's not going to be too infrequently, and when you do get to do that, it's really annoying. All your creatures getting Death Touch that turn. Right, I think that's a real pain for any opponent who's trying to stabilize. Like, all of your small creatures, now it's like chip damage, and they need to block them, and they just don't have good blocks. I think if you're ever triggering it that second time, you have a reasonable board, I think your opponent's going to be pretty upset about that.
Well, yeah, chat's like, oh, and then turns all your 1/1s into Death Touchers. It's like, look, if your opponent makes a bunch of weird attacks with this on the battlefield, maybe think, oh, they might be able to give them Death Touch at instant speed. Like, don't make bad blocks then. Like, I don't.
It does. So yeah. It does turn your Cabaret Charm into 2 instant speed Death Touchers blocking, right?
Sure.
That's kind of cool.
That's cool.
And your stimulus package, that makes your stimulus package great, yeah. Right? I don't know. I think this card is maybe B- is a little bit high for it, but I think it's one of the better 2-drops we've seen here. I think this is a pretty impressive one. I'd give it a C+.
No, you gave it a B-.
Yeah, well, today, Ethan, Alex
Well, at least
said
I'm
C+.
consistent.
Yeah, I guess
I mean, I think this is a C. I think this is totally fine. Everybody, I think everyone is in magical Christmas land with this card. And sure, you're all gonna remember the times where you blew out your opponent or you got blown out or whatever. But most of the time, this is just a 2-mana 2/2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry. Next up is Bouncer's Beatdown. This is a lot of text to just be a bite spell. 2 and a green for an instant. The spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a black permanent. And deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead.
Right. So I do think, I know this is going to come up, but yesterday Alex gave us a B-. I do actually think I stand by that. Maybe you can talk me down on it, but it's got a few upsides on a bite spell, right? Again, I think the targeting a black permanent is going to come up more often than it normally would, right? Just 3-color set. Also, it's a little bit better than a bite spell, right? Because it's very hard to blow out. Or not very hard, but harder to blow out. If they target, you don't have to target your own creature. You can just say, all right, well, I have 2 3/3s. It's going to deal 3 no matter what, even if you kill one of the 3/3s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think that this being an instant, this sometimes costing 1, it being hard to blow out. Like, if you can just get, 1 mana, if this is a 1 mana deal 3, that's pretty darn solid.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that a B? Is that a B-?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. I think it's around
For the fact
there.
that sometimes it doesn't do that? Sure, the ceiling of the card is quite high, but sometimes it doesn't do that. Sometimes it's not good.
Yeah, and then I guess the times it doesn't, it's just like a 3-mana, I'm saying deal 3 as a baseline, but maybe it's lower than that. Maybe it's a deal 2. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit lower, but I'm going to stay on the B-, at least very least, so I don't have to put you through the pain of saying, but Alex.
Yeah. I'm going to go C+ on this card. I like it just fine, but it's fine.
All right, fair enough. We got Elegant Entourage next. This is 3 and a green for a 4/4. Alliance ability. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature other than Entourage gets +1/+1 and gains trample until on a turn. So this is one of the ones that I've kind of been alluding to, where it's like, ooh, instant speed, Alliance. You can get, be tricksy, add some +1/+1s, different places, make combat a little bit tougher for your opponent. I think this is one of the better ones.
But you don't think it's better than the Death Touch one?
Yeah, this is true. I think 2-drop over 4-drop in my books.
Yeah, I think +1/+1 and trample is big game here. Attached to a 4-mana 4/4 body. I know a 4-mana 4/4 body is whatever, but I do like it better than a 2-mana 2/2, especially in this format.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on C+ here for the Entourage. I think it's good, not great.
All right. Yep. I'll join you there.
Alrighty. Next up, we have Voice of the Vermin. This is 3 and a green for a 2/2 human citizen. Enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it, and when it attacks, target creature you control has base power and toughness 4/4 until end of turn.
So some of these more expensive or bigger shield counter creatures, what they've done is so that people don't, shield up, no pun intended. They just they've put attacking triggers on it. So it's like, oh, I want to attack with my creature that is a good attacker because I want to get my trigger on attack, and I want to actually end the game rather than just turtling up, right? This is one of those cards where it's it's a little bit unimpressive on base rate, right? 4-mana 2/2, not particularly exciting, but it does have a decent ability for the attacks. It will be again, I keep saying this to these shield counters, but it will be annoying, maybe not amazing. Mm-hmm. Now, this
can attack as a 4/4 itself?
Right, it can attack as a 4/4 itself. I don't know. I think this card is passable. I think that this is going to be a card that you're not thrilled to first pick or anything like that. I think you're going to take it mid pack and be okay with it. But I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think
solid C.
C-. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm lukewarm on this, but I think maybe I just don't quite know how to evaluate the shield counter stuff right now.
I guess maybe the idea here too is that your opponent has to block this 2/2. It pumps your 2-drop, right? It's just okay, my 2-drop becomes a 4/4. They have to block my 2/2. It's kind of annoying there because it's going to survive combat no matter what. Maybe I don't have maybe I don't have a 3 toughness creature. I actually have to block with a 2/2 and trade it off in combat just for their shield counter. So maybe it's a bit better than we're giving credit for.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right, next up, we got Freelance Muscles, 4 and a green for a 4/4. Whenever it attacks or blocks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power and or toughness among other creatures you control. I actually misread this card. I didn't see the attacks or blocks. I thought this was just an attack trigger. It's a little bit better than I thought.
Yes. It's still just big dumb.
Yeah, still a bit just stats.
Stats, no text.
It is gonna be. It does block well. The turn it comes down. Yeah, it's a 5-mana thing that doesn't have an ETB. We always talk about these. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna start this at a C-. I don't think it's amazing.
I don't like this card that much.
All right.
Next is Take to the Streets. 400 green for a sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Citizens you can control get an additional +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn.
Yeah, so these overrun style effects, they tend to vary set to set. And I think in this set...
Do they tend to vary?
Well,
have they been good ever in like the past 5 years?
Yeah, most of them have not been very good. The green versions in particular, right? They've usually been +2/+2, which is +2/+2 is a lot different than +3/+3.
Yes.
Just the way the numbers shake out. Now, overrun style effects get better if there is a token theme, of course, obviously, right? And I think there was enough of that going on here with the Magician. There's a few uncommons that make 1/1s, where I think this is actually going to be probably one of the better versions of this effect we've seen, especially because sometimes you do get +3/+3 on that. That matters a lot. So if this was always just +2/+2 in a go wide deck, I think you'd be okay with it. But that additional +1 on your citizens, and there's a lot of citizens actually. Like I think a lot of the creatures in your green decks are just going to be citizens. I think that matters a lot too. So where does it lie? It's going to be kind of build around E-ish, right? In a deck with a lot of go wide stuff, it's going to be quite good. And if you're just playing 4 mana, 4/4, 3 mana, 3/3, whatever, it's not going to be as good. So I kind of want to give it a synergy grade, a build around grade, but I think in the right deck, it's going to be probably about a B- or a C+.
All right, yeah, maybe I'm underrating the citizen stuff. I started this at a C- just because I generally think these effects are very bad. But yeah, I could see it. I could see the citizen. I mean, +3/+3 and vigilance is huge.
Yeah, it's just massive.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it doesn't have trample. Sometimes these effects do have trample,
but
you do
the
make
vigilance really does help in terms of racing or whatever.
And it makes up for that by the fact that, like, if you have enough creatures, it doesn't matter if you're getting trample. You're just gonna have enough unblocked damage that it won't matter too much.
Right.
Ooh.
Last green card here is Cleanup Crew. 4 GG for a 6/6 human citizen. When it ETBs, choose one, destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, exile a card from a graveyard, or gain 4 life.
They just keep going. How much can we push the Ravenous Lindworm? This is sweet. This is so good.
This is I mean I said this on the podcast. I think this is closer to Blossom Prancer than it is to Lindworm.
Interesting. Yeah. I think this card's great.
This card's really good. I think it's a solid B.
Yeah, I'm
best.
I'm very happy to give it that grade.
Yeah.
Agreed. Great card.
All right, it's gonna move us on over to white. First card here is Boon of Safety. Single white mana instant. Put a shield counter on target creature and scry 1.
So it's a sort of protection, God's Willing-ish effect. I think it's much worse than God's Willing was. Protection, like actual straight up protection, is much better because you can get in. You can get in for unblockable damage, or you can prevent stop any removal spell. This one only stops damage based things. So really, when you put a shield counter on something here, you are, if it's in combat, it's like you're putting it on your 3/3 against their 3/3, and you're gonna win that combat, right? If you, I guess it's good on like double blocks and stuff, but I don't know. I don't think this effect is all that interesting. I mean, a 1 mana protection spell is a good effect. It's worse by a lot than Tameo Safekeeping, though.
Yeah,
if we're going to make that comparison, right? Safekeeping gained life. Safekeeping gave Indestructible and Hexproof. That was really big. I don't know. I think this is one of the lesser versions of the effect we've seen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that those are all good comparisons to make. I do think this is gonna be worse than those. I think a C- sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think sometimes you care about the counter, like giving a counter, but I don't think it's gonna be that often. So yeah, I'll join you at C- there. All right, next up we got Broker's Initiate. Single white mana for an 0/4 cat citizen. It's got a 5 mana ability, 4 and Simic hybrid. Broker's Initiate has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. Interesting.
How's this for your 1-drops?
Yeah, so I think it's not great, but I also think that you're gonna play this card sometime. So if you've got like one of those blue-white flyer decks, this is an okay thing to play. It's gonna block a lot of things early, get your flyers in there, right? And then it turns into an okay creature in the late game, or just like attacking for 5. That's big game. Blocking, threatening a block for 5. That's not bad. There's not a ton of 1/1 counters going around for just like dumping counters on this thing. That's kind of where I would want this card to be, where it's like high toughness, make it a 2/6 or something, and it actually brawls pretty well. And then the base power turns into a 5/5, which makes it a 7 power. Not too much of that going on, so I won't, can't give points for that. But again, just like I was talking about with the 1-drop Green Raccoon, you got this as just a cheap creature that if you are going wide, you've got this thing comes in early, cheap alliance trigger. I'm kind of like, talking about the selling points here. I don't think it's a great card, but I do think you're going to put it in some number of decks. So give it like a D+.
This card is so much worse without a point of power. You don't get any
Yes.
threat of activation with this effect, right? Because like you don't get to go like, oh, I could pump it, and your opponent goes, fine, I'll let it through, and you go, haha, got you for 1.
Right.
Like they go, cool, don't block, and you go, do I want to spend my whole turn dealing you 5? Maybe you do. I don't know.
You're mostly going to want to put this in a deck that just wants it as the blocker, and then it'll turn to somewhat of a card later. Is the idea?
That I think is a D in my mind.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and you said D+?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Next up, we've got Raffian's Guidance. Curious on, well, I've heard some of your thoughts on this, but this is an interesting one to talk about. So this is a single 8 mana for an aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and you can cast the Guidance from your grave by paying 2 and a white rather than paying its mana cost.
I like this card. This is maybe one of my hot takes of the format, but I'm interested in this card as, you know, just a thing you can pitch to connive. That it gives you a, I guess, Obscura is going to care about numbers of things in your yard or whatever, and you know you can get it back. Like I don't know if is short sword good in the format? That's the question.
Right, that's the question. Yeah,
and I don't know what the answer is to that, but I'm a little tentatively. Maybe I'll go a little lower than my initial grade of C and go C-. But I'm a little optimistic about this card.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to actually care too much. So, like, there's the whole Obscura synergy where it's like, oh, you can pitch this away. I don't think you're going to be putting this card in your deck with a lot of connive cards where it's like, oh, this is a good thing to pitch. Like, it's going to come up sometimes, but you're going to put this card in your deck if you want that short sword effect, right? And sometimes the connive synergy will come up, I think. So, yeah, jury's out on how good this kind of effect is. So, if it's good, it's going to have a place. If it's not, it's going to be trash. So, where do you think that lands for you?
I put it at C-.
Yeah, I think that's fine too.
Next up is Backup Agent, 1 and a white for a 1/1 human citizen. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature.
Yeah, so I'm on board with what your thoughts on Lords Unlimited this week about these cards kind of underperforming in sets in the past, 5 years. These kind of Iron Shell Beetles comes in, put a counter on something. If you have like flyers, this is a little bit better. It trump blocks, it gets an extra point in the air. If you care about the counters, which, like I said, this is one of the few ways to get a cheap counter early for your your blue white gold card that cares about having counters. I think this is probably going to be slightly better. My gut says that than Iron Shell Beetle would be. I think there's just enough stuff going on. A lot of cheap flyers, counters mattering. I still don't think it's amazing. I'm still probably just going to give it a C-.
Yeah, I'm on D+, which might be a little low, but I agree. This card is not good generally.
Right.
Perhaps in this format, be with counters mattering, with citizens mattering, whatever, with a 1/1 body not feeling embarrassing, right? Dump the counter elsewhere. You're fine with the 1/1. I think that this could be better than usual.
Yep. Keep an eye out for it. Next up, we've got Hold for Ransom. 1 and a white for an Aura Enchantment. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature can't sack or block and has 7 mana. Hold for Ransom's controller sacrifices it and draws a card. Activate this only as a sorcerer. They had to go and make pacifism worse on us, Ethan.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, it really is just his worst pacifism. This card is bad, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not without, waxing on this card for too long. The pacifism...
Why even give that caveat? You're gonna wax for a while.
No, I won't. I promise I won't. It's only going to be 4 minutes. I've got a time. I've got my timer here. So, pacifism, meh. We're pretty meh on it. Pacifism is set with exploit or, sacrifice themes.
Casualty.
Casualty, thanks. That's it. Meh. Even more meh. I've seen some people say, oh, isn't this better pacifism because you get a card back at some point? Well, giving your opponent the option to let you draw a card and unlock their creature is a downside, right? It's not a strict downside, to be fair, because sometimes the card you will draw is actually better, but nobody knows that in the moment, right?
Right.
It's either strictly better or worse. So I'm not going to start this card high. I'm probably going to start it. Like, if you have an aggressive deck, like 2 mana, get a blocker out of the way, that's not the worst thing in the world, right? They're going to have to deal with it. But there's going to be probably a way they can unlock it at some point, especially if the game grinds a little bit. So, caveat of if this is an aggressive deck, it gets a little bit better, but I think it's just a C.
Yeah, I that's what I initially gave it. I kind of want to go lower. The enchantment-based removal seems wildly good. Or wildly bad, rather. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat. Folks are saying it's better. Okay, now I'm getting trolled by chat. This is not good. Your opponent gets to go 7 mana. I unlock my creature. You draw a card.
This is another reading comprehension card.
Yeah, okay. We're good. I'm going to go C- on this. I think this is not good.
The opponent gets to activate this
yes.
and unlock their creature, give you a card. That's what it is.
All right, next up we got Rafine's Informant. 1 and a white for a 2/1 human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. So that's draw a card, then discard a card, and if you discarded a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
Yeah, so this is funny. We're like 3 hours into this, our first actual instance of connive. What do you think about the connive mechanic?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, me too. I do too. I don't think it's flashy. I don't think it's like my entire deck is conniving.
It's just interesting. Like,
yeah,
it's just going to present you with interesting decision points, and I think those interesting decision points are going to reward better players. Like, when you know, I want to pitch a land here, or I want to pitch a spell. Which spell am I pitching? Why am I pitching that spell? Does the +1/+1 counter matter, etc.? But like, even if this wasn't connive, just 2 mana 2/1 ETB loot, that's good.
Yeah, I think
I'm into that.
I'm thinking back to the Modern Age from Neo, and often I heard a lot of people being like, I feel like I play the Modern Age really poorly. I don't know when to discard a land. I don't know when to discard a spell. You know, I don't know if I should cast it on 2. So yeah, I think exactly what you're saying. It's going to be very skill testing, connive, knowing when to hold your card, right? When to not play your connive 2-drop, right? I mean, you're going to play your 2-drop on 2, but maybe you hold it a little bit later so you can discard a land. I think the baseline for these cards is you're going to want to pitch a land, kind of like Blood, right? Where if you have to discard a spell, you have to discard a spell. But mostly, you're going to want to get rid of a land to find more action, right? So this Raffine's Informant here, a 2-mana connive creature, will be good on the other side. Like, early in the game, you often know if you need a land or you need a spell, you can pitch whatever one. If you get a 3/2, it's a little bit of an upgrade on 2/1, not that much more. But it does help filter the early game, which I really, really like. I think the cheaper connive cards are generally going to be better.
That's why I like Blood so much. Like, everyone's like, oh, I can't believe why are you cracking Blood on turn 2? I'm like, I don't have to, but I can.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
That's why Epicure was so good, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. I think it's a good card. I'm on C+ here.
Yes, so there's a chat saying this, and there's been some conversation about this too, where it's like, oh, it's a bit feel bad to pitch spells to get your overcosted creature. Well, you're getting a little bit of an undercosted creature, a 2/1 for 1, but the loot on top of that's you have to factor that into the mana cost too. That is real value.
You just get to upgrade your hand. You're just you get to look at another card and say and pitch your worst card. Right?
Yeah.
That's just good. You're not down.
You're not often going to pitch a spell, but sometimes you will, and sometimes you get the bigger creature.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So what do you want to go on the Informant?
I'm on C+ with you here on Rafine's Informant.
Sweet. All right. Next up, we got Revelation of Power. 2 mana, 1 and a white for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and if it has a counter on it, it also gains lifelink and flying.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, lifelink combo tricks do have potential to really swing a game, but even still, it's a 2 mana trick, not super exciting. It's also got the Mighty Leap, kind of like, all right, send my 4/4 to the air to kill you. It's got that too sometimes, but not particularly inspiring. I think it's just still, a D plus, something like that.
Yep, exactly. Next is Sky Crier, 1 and a white for a 1/1 bird citizen with flying and lifelink. You can pay 3 and a white to have you and target opponent each draw a card.
What a weird card.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're so you're just not activating that ability almost ever. I would think
it's desperation mode activating that ability. You're like, I just die if I don't.
So how good is 2 mana 1/1 flying lifelink? It's probably
2 mana healer.
Probably good, right?
I think it's probably pretty good. Yeah, I mean, still, I guess I would classify just like curve filler are decent, nothing exciting. But it's going to drain for 1 a turn, and if you ever can augment it, put a counter from that 2 mana creature we saw, put augment it with the Raffine's, the aura, the 1 mana aura. Like, if you get this to 2 power, really, you're really doing it. And just the 1 mana version or the 1 power version of it is not bad. It's a good vessel for all kinds of counters. I don't know. I kind of like this card.
Yeah, I think so too. I initially gave it a C-, but I actually like it at least at a C.
Yeah, I think C is about right. And then I think if you just ignore, delete that text on the bottom, you're going to be well enough just to evaluate it as if it didn't have it. All right, next up we've got Gathering Throngs. So this is 2 and a white for a 3/1 human citizen. When it ETBs, you may search your library for any number of cards named Gathering Throng, reveal them, put them in your hand, and shuffle.
Yes, please. This is
this is
great little catch-em-all.
So this is very context dependent, and I don't want to put you in the spot here, but just some thoughts. Do you like this better as a 3/1 or a 2/2? Because we've seen 2/2 versions of this card.
Probably like it better as a 2/2.
Interesting. Yeah, I think my gut says 3/1. I'm not sure. I'm just my gut says just because it helps you trade up with more stuff. Now, mind you, trades off for more stuff, but it does help you. You can block with it a little bit better. I don't know. I think this is getting multiple citizens, right? If that matters, just I think this is gonna be a pretty high pick for your white decks.
I think so too. I have it as a C+. I could see it pushing into B-.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna start C+ as well.
Okay. Next up is Inspiring Overseer. 2 and a white for a 2/1 Angel Cleric with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life and draw a card.
Yeah.
This card is very, very good. This is the best common in the set.
That's the take.
I mean, do we need to say much else about this card?
No, I don't think so. I think I think a lot has been said about this card. It's an awesome card. It's gonna be better than a lot of the uncommons, a lot of the rares. You're gonna be first picking this a lot of the time. This is dressed in that territory where Jewel Thief was. I'm gonna give this one a B+ as well. It's just so solid. Like 2/1 flyer, draw a card and gain a life on top. I don't know. I don't have to talk up this card, right? Yeah. It's just people know this card's good.
Yep.
Great card. B+ for me. All right, next up we got Kill Shot. 2 and a white for an instant. Destroy target attacking creature.
Sure. This is fine. It's a C. This is like, we haven't seen the pure. So like oftentimes you see this as a damage spell. Sometimes it can kill a blocker or an attacker. Like just being able to kill an attacker only isn't the best. And I think this is fine. This is like a C.
Better when you are you're in like a blue-white style flyer deck, right? Where you got a lot of flyers, and you don't care about getting the ground blockers out of the way. You just want to make sure you don't die to their 4/4. So if you're there, it's a solid removal spell. Probably pushes into like the C+ range, but you really don't want this in your aggressive ground attacking decks.
No.
Right.
Next up is Celebrity Fencer. 3 and a white for a 3/2 elf druid with Alliance. Put a +1/+1 counter on Celebrity Fencer.
Yeah, another card in the long line of, well, this has got a good thing if the game goes pretty long, but man, is it not a very good blocker for a 4-mana card.
Yeah, this is really bad stats, and it takes a long time for, like, think about, like, Prowling Felidar or whatever as, like, 4-mana 2/3 that then, like, grew with landfall. Like,
right.
It just takes a long time for that card to feel like it's relevant.
And that card at least had Vigilance, so it was just, like, this big thing where it's like, well, I can't attack or block for it. Like, this thing... It's just gonna grow, and it's like, all right, you attack with your, maybe 6-power creature at some point. I chump it and crack you back. So yeah, I'm really off this card. I think it's quite bad. I'd give it a D.
Yep, me too.
Right, next up, Dapper Shieldmate, 3 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. It enters the battlefield with a shield counter, and as long as it's your turn, it gets +2/+0.
I don't know how to evaluate shield counters. I think is sort of how I feel about this. Like, this card doesn't look good to me.
I think this is worse than the Estwald Shieldbreaker from Crimson Vow, and that card was not.
That card was not good. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that it can't, like, the times when that card was good, you're like, oh, man, I actually don't have a great way to deal with it, and like I'm not gonna be able to tempo them out, and they can just keep paying 1 each turn. And I have to jump block. You're only gonna have to do that once with this card. You're gonna go, all right, well, awkward block.
But the thing I have to remember, the shield counters on ground creatures are gonna be so easy to deal with because just chump with a 1/1. And then that's it. Bye. Shield counter's gone.
There are going to be spots where, like I've been saying, it's going to be a little bit awkward for you. You don't want to make a bad trade. But yeah, I agree with your sentiment totally. So yeah. I think it's another 4-drop. I'm just pretty out on. I think it's going to give this a D-. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just F territory. Like you're embarrassed if this card makes your deck.
I think you might be. Yeah. Next up is Buy Your Silence. 4 and a white for a sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a treasure token.
Yeah. So this is not good. I think so. So I see on the spreadsheet here, you and Ben are a little bit higher on this card. I gave this a D. But
I think I thought this made a treasure.
Oh, I'd be into that. If this made a treasure,
it's not even that good, but I think I thought this made it. Like, that would be worse than whatever.
Grim Bounty.
Yeah. No. Well, yes, Grim Bounty, but the 5-mana one, Contract Killing.
Oh, Contract Killing. Sure. Yeah.
That's why I give it a C-. No, I'm with you on D here.
It's like the worst of what is it? Minimus Containment and that 5-mana one from M21. They gave them a 1/1 or whatever. Yeah. It's like the worst of two worlds here, right? Just giving him a treasure is just. Sometimes it might just be a full-on resource where they're like, sure, sack the treasure. That's great, Yeah.
So no, that's terrible. Sorry. Yeah, I just misread this card.
Yeah, not into this one. All right, next one.
Speakeasy Server. 4 and a white for a 3/3 bird citizen with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life for each other creature you control.
I do like this one quite a bit.
Yeah, I do too.
So I think on average, this is probably going to be better than like the 5-mana 3/3 gain 3 that we usually see, right? I think.
What? On average, you will have 4 or more other creatures than this?
Oh, okay. So maybe
on average?
Maybe I should be more direct with my mathematical language here. So I think it will be better. No, I mean, I'm not even gonna be able to defend my statement here. I think you're right.
Let's just rewind.
The game 3 will be better most of the time, but there's gonna be times when you get a lot of life with that. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good card.
It's fine. Yeah, this is a C+.
Yeah, sure. I'm in for that. And we'll leave the math talk for not Alex people.
First uncommon here is Citizen's Crowbar, 1 and a white for an equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 citizen creature token, then attach the crowbar to it. This has an equip cost of 2, and equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has white, tap, sack the crowbar, target, or destroy target artifact or enchantment.
Yeah, this is solid. So it gives me kind of Ancestral Blade vibes, right?
Mhm.
Where it's like well, it comes in with the creature, you can move it around. It's equipped too, but that's not going to be too bad. Yeah, I really like this one. I mean, the destroy target artifact or enchantment thing isn't going to come up all that often. What it does, it's gonna be, you're gonna be able to get rid of their enchantment-based removal spell. They're good equipment, whatever. If they have a good equipment, I guess that's not very common in this set. But you know what I
mean? Stimulus package.
Yeah, their stimulus package, their angel or whatever. Yeah, I'm into this card. I think this is quite good. What do you want to give this one?
I think this is just a solid B.
Yeah, I think solid B. That checks out for me. I'm into this card. All right, next up we've got Illuminator Virtuoso. This is 1 and a white for a 1/1 double strike, human rogue. When it becomes the target of a spell you control, it connives.
How many spells am I gonna control that can target this?
So you like tricks, fight spells, but this card does not fight particularly well. Any auras, I suppose. I don't know. I think not a ton. There is a blue card that gives something unblockable, and when it deals damage, it connives. So that's kind of a little wombo combo there.
Mm-hmm.
Just double striking and really kind of Invisible Stalker-esque. But at the same time, if we're looking at it not with that card, I don't think it's that good.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I do think a 1/1 double striker might be better in this format than usual. Yeah, with Sticky Fingers, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Sticky Fingers is kind of funny with that.
Give it menace and +1/+1. Yeah, I'll join you at a C grade here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Next up is Refuse to Yield. 1 on a white for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+7 until end of turn. Untap it.
Ooh, +7 defense. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's gonna win any combat, most likely, or at least survive the combat. I don't know. It can ambush some stuff. These cards are not all that impressive. Like, the best case scenario is you ambush a creature, which is kind of nice. You keep their big thing, but not going to be a card you're going to take highly. Maybe you'll put it in your deck, but this is just in line with the other combat tricks. It's like a D+. Maybe a D.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, very, very whatever. All right, next up, we've got Knockout Blow. So this is 2 and a white for an instant. Costs 2 less if it targets a red creature. Knockout Blow deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and you gain 2 life.
I like this better than Kill Shot.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the gain 2 life on anytime you can gain 2 life on your removal spell, it's really nice. Just that's a nice little 1/2 punch of being able to kill the thing that's attacking you and also buy back a little bit of life. Mm-hmm. Again, in a flyer deck, this is going to be a little bit better than if it's in a a ground-based attacking deck. I don't know. I think it's got enough things going for it. The cost reduction that I'm willing to be C+, B-, C, probably around C+ actually.
Yeah, I'm on C+ here. It's so fun. Like, I think literally you're just like one gradation lower than everything you put in the spreadsheet yesterday.
That's funny. Yeah, yesterday Alex was a bit kinder, I guess.
Yeah. Next is Mage's Attendant. 2 and a white for a 3/2 cat rogue. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 blue wizard creature token with 1. Sacrifice this creature. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
this is sweet.
3 mana for a 3/2 and a 1/1. A 1/1 that's gonna mess with your opponent's removal spells or whatever. Just really solid.
You're getting 4/3 worth of stats
for 3 mana and 2 bodies, and that's better in a set with Alliance.
Exactly, 2 bodies, and like I think you previously mentioned on the podcast, this sacrifice unless they pay 1 ability, you're not going to know when this is messing up the opponent, but it's going to mess them up, right? They're going to be like, man, I can't double spell here. That's super annoying. I need to just cast my removal spell or just cast my pump spell instead of casting my other creature. So it's going to be very you're not going to see the impact that has, but it is quite good.
It just remember the times when your opponent played Life of Tashiro and you looked at your hand with an X1 and you went, cool, can't play that yet.
Yeah.
It's just similar. You don't know when that happens when you're the one playing Life of Tashiro, but you know that it does happen. And this is going to be very similar. This is a B.
Yep, I'm in for B. All right, next up we got Patch Up. 2 and a white, sorcery. Return up to 3 target creatures with total mana value 3 or less from your grave to the battlefield.
Okay, so this is like called the Death Dwellers.
Yeah.
But that was way better.
Yeah, a lot better.
Because dropping a menace and a death touch counter was
quite good.
Huge.
Yeah, really, really good. Just the death touch especially, right? Because it's like
get back my one drop and put a death touch. Get back my Whispering Squad, put a death touch counter on it.
Yeah, the thing about this card is that you're not going to be casting it till turn 6, 5 at earliest, right? And at that point, your small creatures, maybe you have some utility creatures, but giving a death touch counter to it really makes it a real card. You're really going to have to get back some pretty good stuff to make this worth it, right? Because it's got setup costs. You're not just going to be able to cast it. You're not always going to be able to get the 3 mana worth. Sometimes you have to just buy back a 2-drop. Yeah. I don't think this card is particularly good. I think I'm just going to give this like a D, maybe in a deck with a lot of cheap stuff. You can upgrade it to like Synergy C or something like that. But you have to really work hard for this effect, and the effect's not that good.
I agree. Next is Rumor Gatherer. 1 white for a 2/1 elf wizard, and it has Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you scry 1. But if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card instead.
Yeah, so worth noting. And I think I don't think we've said this for the other Alliance ones, but this one's falls into this camp of the third time it happens, you're just gonna get the scry, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't just keep it as a second ability. So I was pretty high on this card, but
in what world are you having 3 creatures at the battlefield on your turns?
You got like a Mage's Attendant, another card. I don't know. It comes up. It's good to know, right?
All right. Fair.
Yeah. So I was pretty high on this card, but I think you actually talked me down on it. Listening to your thoughts with Ben, I think you're right with just like you play this on 3. It's a 2/1, so it's not going to get into combat, and it does have value. Like even if you don't get that card draw, scrying on ETB for all your creatures, it's pretty good, right? It's going to add up to a card eventually. And sometimes you do get a second card, right? Mm-hmm. I think that there's going to be games where this really feels unfair. There's also going to be games where you're just like, all right, like I play this and maybe I scry a few times and maybe I, don't even draw a card and your opponent's aggressive and they're like, cool, I don't care about your 2/1, right?
Yeah.
On average, I don't know. Maybe this balances out to a C plus. I actually, in my mind, I was like, ooh, this is like a B level card. I don't think it's quite there. I think there's going to be decks that really utilize this quite well, right? You just got multiple things to make multiple creatures. You make sure you draw a card, but I don't think it's a great card in general. I mean, it's fine. I'm going to give it a C plus.
You
but
wouldn't play this if it was just an enchantment, and that is how it is going to feel.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
A lot of the time, I just think like, and let's not even talk about the fact that it's white in a 3-color set.
Yep.
You may not even be able to cast this on turn 3 sometimes.
Yep.
Like I'm on C- here, and I'm not crazy about this card.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I even bump this down to C. I think it's maybe just not even that good. All right, next up we got Swooping Protector, 3 and a white for a 2/1 flash flyer. It enters with a shield counter. It's a citizen too. That matters.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? So this in theory comes in, ambushes a 2 toughness creature, and then you have a 2/1 flyer. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, right. It's I was gonna start this off with it's just Twin Shot Sniper.
I mean, it's not that crazy.
Are you willing to buy my take, Ethan? Are you a buyer?
Yeah, I think I graded this as a C-. I think I'm a little higher on it.
Yeah,
this is one where I get the shield counter.
Right, yeah, the shield counter makes sense. I think you need to line things up. It's not, I don't
right, that's not gonna happen all the time, but
right, you need to line things up where it's like, and especially later in the format where it's like, oh, this white deck's leaving 4 mana up. Like people have that on the radar a little bit here, and they're gonna plan for that being in the range of things that could happen. But yeah, when you do get to eat a 2-tough creature with this and then have a 2/1 flyer, you're gonna feel really, really good. So I don't know. I don't think it's amazing, but it definitely has a high ceiling. So I think it's about a C plus.
Yeah, I'll go C. I'll move up to C.
Cool.
Next up, we've got the Ballroom Brawlers. 3 white for a 3/4 or 3/5 human warrior. When it attacks, it and up to 1 other target creature you control both gain your choice of first strike or lifelink until end of turn.
It's a enticing ability, but it's like 5 mana 3/5. But it just comes down.
It's weird to have an attacking mechanic on a 5 mana 3/5.
Right. Yeah. Not super into it.
That said, it comes down, it holds the ground very well, and then it can be a pretty big swing in terms of either you get some damage in with the first strike, or threat attack with 6 power of lifelink or whatever. Like,
yeah, I guess imagine this in like one of those flyer decks, right? Where you have like a 2-power flyer, maybe a 3-power flyer. It comes down. It's going to be sort of hardish to block.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy good or anything, but it is like my resistance to it being an aggressive mechanic on a defensive body was sort of mitigated by it. Actually, like, this does the thing when you put it down, and then lifelink is pretty busto. So I don't know. It's still a 5-drop. It's just a C, I think, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna start C- on it, but yeah. I could come up in it. All right, and our last white uncommon here, we've got Angelic Observer. So this is 6 mana, 5 and a white for a 3/3 Angel Advisor. It's got flying, and it costs 1 less for each citizen you control.
Meh.
I think this card is not good.
No, this card seems pretty stinky to me. Like, even if this costs even if this costs 4 mana, or it's still a 4 mana 3/3 flyer. Like,
yeah, that's
we're
just
like,
right?
Whatever. Yeah.
So you go. Let's imagine a dream scenario, right? You go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. That makes a citizen maybe. Then it's like 2 mana on turn 4, and that's a good rate, but that's an absolute Christmas land scenario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is very, very full. I'm actually just going to give this a D.
Yeah,
I don't think
I think I'm with you on D. I think I'm with you on D. All right, that's going to take us on over to stinky blue cards, except this first one's not so stinky. Expendable Lackey. Single blue mana for a 1/1 human citizen, and you can pay 1 and a blue to exile it from your graveyard to make a 1/1 blue fish creature token that can't be blocked, activate only as a sorcery.
Yeah, I really like this card. It's kind of got bait hook angler-ish vibes, where it's just this thing that comes down, blocks. Sometimes it jumps, sometimes it trades. The thing it begs back is very similar to bait hook angler's backside, where it's just a 1/1 unblockable. Of course, the synergy here is you can sacrifice it to your casualty cards. It's pretty good just as a thing in your blue-white flyer deck to buy you a bit of time, and it's an evasive card. I think this is, up there, one of the better blue commons.
Yeah, I think this is my vote for best blue common. And
the best one, eh?
I'm gonna go B-.
Yeah, I can buy that. I think that is certainly possible here. All right, I'll join it B-. I think that's probably a good grade for that. All right. Next up, we've got the Witness Protection, single blue mana, aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities, is green and white, or is a green and white citizen with base power and toughness 1/1 within its name is legitimate business person. And that's the best thing about this card, Ethan.
Sure is. This is not remotely playable.
So this is a better version of Frogify type effects, Casmina transmutation. We've seen these. The bad thing about those cards wasn't that it costs 2. 2 is good. 2 and 1 are not all that far off for this kind of effect. It's the actual effect that isn't very appealing, right? Yeah. We don't keep the thing on the battlefield, giving them you're giving them some material still. It's not just like you're taking off the table. I don't think this card changes very much in evaluation, and especially in like we've said many times in a set that your opponent can sacrifice their cards for value. So I'm going to give this like a might just be an F, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to go D-, but like I'm literally never going to play this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you just like never want this card in your deck.
Yeah, I think so. Next up is Backstreet's Back All Right. Backstreet Bruiser, 1 and a blue for a 3/3 Cephalid Rogue with Defender, but as long as there are 2 or more counters among creatures you control, Backstreet Bruiser can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Oh,
it's so close to Drowsing Pteranodon, Ethan. It's so close, but so far away still. 2 is a lot more than 1. So, what kind of deck are you envisioning this in?
Deck with islands.
Islands, yeah. Islands make sense. Yeah, I think you need islands to answer blue spells. I guess not necessarily in this set, but...
I think this ard might not be bad. Maybe this is my second hot take, is that this card's not bad. I like... This part of the fact that I think blues commons aren't very good, but I think this is like, I just don't think this is that bad.
Yeah. I can buy it.
Gonna block early and then be able to attack in like the right broker deck.
It does give you 3 for casualty, right? I guess that's not very common though.
Wait, it does give you 3 for? Oh, sure, yeah. But that's that's a real card still.
Yeah, it's a real card still. I'm gonna start low on it. I could totally, I'm willing to be like, Ethan, you were right on day 1 of this, But
literally, you have never in your life told me I was right about a card.
Actually, I remember Ethan going, Ethan, you can't play Midnight Head right now because you're away. But you know what? You were so right about Decay. We were so wrong. I remember the exact conversation.
Weren't you? You were the one who was talking about Decay being good.
Yes, but you were talking up even more than I was. Right. I'm trying to give you credit here, Ethan.
You're like, this thing we both liked. I said we were right about.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think Bruiser is. Yeah, I'm gonna start at a C.
Okay, yeah, fair. I'll start low, but again, willing to come up.
For sure.
Next up, we got Broker's Veterans. This is 1 blue for a 2/1 Human soldier, when it dies, you put a shield counter on target creature you control.
Meh.
It's very strange.
It's very strange. So, I mean, this is this is something I'm more interested in sacking as a casualty fodder.
Yeah, 2-power casualty. I don't know. It's very strange where it's like I guess maybe one of the upsides of this card is shield counters are placed on very specific cards where it's like, yes, like this won't be too annoying on this kind of card. But if you put it on a 4/4, maybe that's dreaming big a little bit. But that does get to something, something pretty nice where they're gonna have to trump the 4/4 and not actually, they're not gonna be able to just block with impunity to get that shield counter off. So I don't know. I don't love this card, but I think it is not going to be terrible. In cards that decks that care about counters, you're going to care about a little bit more. I'll probably still give it a C-. But...
Yeah, but I think out of the general D range dregs that a 2-mana 2/1 often is, I think this is in that C- range for sure.
Yep.
All right, Disdainful Stroke is 1 and a blue for an instant, counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater.
Yeah, so you could just relegate this to the sideboard card. I think this is kind of similar to Broken Wings in the sense that if you have to play this card, I don't think it would be terrible. You're going to find a target, not always an easy target, but you'll find something. Your opponent's often going to have a 4-cost creature in their deck unless they're playing a super low to the ground deck. But, we've had this card before. It's never been amazing. It's never been unplayable. Sideboard is probably the most appropriate grade for it.
This would have been so good in Neon Dynasty.
Just like countering just like all the big green things.
Counter anything that's going to be a 6/1 when it hits the battlefield for 2 mana.
Yeah, counter
Behold,
counter Oath.
Yeah, counter your Kami of Terrible Secrets, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Next up is Make Disappear. 1 and a blue for an instant, casualty 1, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2.
Yeah, so these like conditional-ish counter spells, timing specific counter spells generally aren't very good. It changes a little bit if there's like a bunch of instant speed stuff going on where you can just hold this up and cast it at the end of turn, or if your opponent casts something that you want to counter, you can counter it. If not, cast something else. But I don't think there's a ton of that in this set. There's a little bit, but not to the point where I feel like this card gains any more value than it normally would. I don't know. The best thing I can say about this card is it's a sacrifice outlet for cards that care about that, but I'm pretty out on it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of these effects like ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on D for Make Disappear.
You feel very lucky when you nab something with it. You're like, "Ooh, good! Yeah. I actually got something."
I 1-for-1 with this.
Yeah, sweet.
Here's that aura you were talking about.
Yeah, security bypass. This is 1 and a blue for an aura. Enchanted creature. As long as the enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you connive, or that creature connives.
So is this good?
I don't know. So there are not a lot of creatures with like hit abilities in the set where it's like when you hit with this, you draw a card or something like that. You bounce a creature, something like that. It's weird
to have this in like a set that feels go-widey. Like you've got Blitz, you've got the tokens. Like what deck wants this? I guess Obscura.
Like a blue-white evasion-y deck with some black cards in it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't envision. Maybe it's just one of those cards that you get really late, and because you have a lot of them, you can kind of make a deck around it. Again, it does combo with that double striker like we looked at a little while ago, but I can't imagine this card is correct. If it just said, if that attacking alone clause wasn't there, I think I would like the card quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
But without that, or with that, it really just slows you down a lot. And just like you're like doing this slow plotting thing while you're only attacking with one creature. So I'm out on it. I think I'm gonna do this like a D.
Yeah, I'm on D as well. All right, it's back. Suit up. Majestic Metamorphosis is 2 and a blue for an instant. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a 4/4 angel artifact creature and gains flying. And then those 3 magical words, draw a card.
So I'm starting high on this one. I'm going to give it a B-, I think. And I do think it is worse than Suit Up, both in text box and context, right? We've got the whole, your opponent's not going to need to block your cheap creatures all the time, so they're not going to be forced into a 2-for-1. And also, 4/5 is better than 4/4 flyer, I think, most of the time. The flying thing is nice to get to, like, get the last 4 points or whatever, but that's not what's going to matter most of the time. What I do like about the cards, though, is I think there are a lot of cheap little expendable things in the set, both in white and blue and black, and some in all colors, honestly. And so you can kind of just turn one of your cheap expendable things into, hey, this is now, I've 2-for-1 you on this, right? I traded and I drew a card. So the place where this card is the best, or just this kind of effect, is when you're upgrading a 1/1 into a 4/4. When you're upgrading a 2/2 or 3/3, it doesn't do anything much. But if you can trade off, that 1-mana 1/1 blue card that we saw that dies into an unblockable creature, right? That's pretty good. Or just like any token. So, and of course, it turns a treasure into into a flyer. Not that that's going to come up very much, but it does matter, So I don't know. It's not suit up, but I'm going to start it around, a suit up adjacent. I'm going to give this a B-.
I would say the one other thing that I want to throw out to why suit up was good, not only the presence of ninjas, but there was a chain reaction thing of everything's a 2-for-1, so removal is worse. So you're very unlikely to get blown out when you use your suit up.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to be the case here. We've already talked about our feelings about removal and that we may be in another 2-for-1 land where removal is a little worse, in which case this card gets better. If you have to worry about cheap removal messing with this, then this card it gets a significant knock, I think. But yeah, I'm going to start on C with the Metamorphosis, but it could just be that this effect, this kind of thing in blue is just purely good.
Yeah, I think because blue, like just in Neon Dynasty, is looking to be a bit more creature based rather than instance and sorcery, control, draw go kind of stuff going on. It's got a little, especially with the most instant and sorcery based archetype, the Maestros kind of stuff going on there with the blue black and some blue red stuff. Does want to play a lot of creatures still, especially small expandable creatures. So I think we're mostly playing in a creature world here, not a 12 instant and sorcery kind of world. What makes this card a little bit better.
Yeah. Next, we've got Obscura Initiate. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 bird citizen with flying, and you can pay 1 and a white-black hybrid to give it lifelink until end of turn.
It's I feel like we've kind of become known for these cards, Ethan, where it's like, hey, it's a win drake, but a little bit of upside.
This is a Heron of Hope.
Yeah, it is a little bit of like a Heron of Hope. Yeah, usually we have this at 4-mana, right?
Yeah, the 3-mana 2/2 flyer. I mean, getting lifelink even with an activated ability on a flyer is nothing to sneeze at. It is really hard to race.
Can I interest you in getting a +1/+1 counter on this even?
Yes, you can. My good sir.
I like this card, yeah.
Yeah, this is a C+, I think.
Yeah, I'm into it. I like that as well. All right, next up on the list here. Oops, sorry.
Psionic Snoop.
Yep, Psionic Snoop. We got 2 and a blue for a 0/3 flash human rogue creature. When it enters the battlefield, you connive.
What have they done? Look how they massacred my boy Sailor of Meads. To a 3-mana 0/3 that connives. This card is not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to ambush X ones.
Yeah, but then you got to pitch a spell.
Got to pitch a spell. Yeah, that's a big cost. Yeah, I think I'm pretty out of this.
I love having... Like, you have to pitch a spell on this. With other connive stuff, you can be like, cool, pitch a land, fine.
Right.
You have to pitch a spell for this to be remotely worth it.
Well, it does blank a 2-drop, right? Like you loot and blank a 2-drop.
Is that good?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think it's great.
I don't think it's great either.
No.
I went C-. I'm going down to D+ here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C- on it, but I could be swayed.
Yeah. Next is Rooftop Nuisance. 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Casualty 1. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And draw a card.
I like this one. I think this one's quite good. So I think that this isn't an instant, which is notable because normally these kind of tap draw card effects are. But if you I think it's just such a big swing, right? Where you get to have some sort of foddery thing. You got maybe a few flyers. Again, I'm talking
your expendable lackey.
Yeah, you're expendable lackey. Sacrifice that. Tap 2 of their things. Draw 2 cards.
Yeah,
that's a huge swing
for 3 mana.
Yeah, super into this.
The ceiling of this card is quite high.
Yeah.
What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a B-. I think this is a really good card.
Nice. I'm on C+. I like this card too.
Sweet. All right, next up we got Case the Joint. 2 and a blue, instant. Draw 2 cards. And
No.
Oh, this one?
3 and a blue.
Sorry, 3 and a blue. Yes, 3 and a blue. That's a very important distinction. 3 and a blue, instant. Target player draws 2. Or sorry, let's just start this over. Case the Joint. 3 and a blue, instant. Draw 2 cards. Then look at the top card of each player's library. Whatever.
This card is bad.
I'm surprised they didn't give you a little bit of a better bonus on this.
Like that's crazy. Like the last time, like Scattered Thoughts was look at the top 4, pick 2, and then the other 2 go to the bin.
Yeah.
Like this is just. I think this is a D.
We've already seen a bunch of on-board value stuff, right? You don't need the mana not on-board value stuff.
Raw card draw just doesn't cut it anymore.
Yep.
Echo Inspector is next. 3 and a blue for a 2/3 bird rogue with flying. When it enters the battlefield, it connives.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one. I'm not exactly sure where this lies. So if it's a 4-mana 3/4 flyer, that's pretty good, but you have to pitch a spell for that, right? It kind of actually solves kind of some
I
of the
think
problems.
the more I see these connive spells, the more I want my little 1-mana enchantment that I can cast from the
The
graveyard.
Raffine's
Yeah.
guidance. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
interesting. You just
I just
actively
want
to...
just like how I like whenever I had blood, I was just like, just beer me that persistent specimen.
Right.
Now, the specimen is better than that enchantment, but just something that like, just a little something that I don't have to feel so bad about pitching a spell.
Yeah, I could buy that, especially because I think now we've kind of seen these a little bit in action where we're like, all right, well, don't really love this without the counter on it, but
Right.
it's okay still. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. That's gonna be definitely a question going in.
Yeah.
Exactly how happy you are with these connive creatures just not having the counter on them.
I think both halves of this I'm happy with. 4-mana 2/3 flyer that basically drew me a spell or drew me a card because I got to just pitch a land. I think I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And then when I'm pitching a spell to make this a 3/4 flyer, I think I'm also happy with that. I think connive is just good. I like you described it well. Like it's not flashy. It's gonna be skill testing, and I think is just that modality is nice.
Yeah, I think so too. Solid C on this one?
Solid C, yeah.
Agreed. All right, cool. I like it. All right, next up we got Run Out of Town. 3 and blue for an instant. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on the top or bottom of their library.
And I get a citizen?
No, you wish. You wish.
It's still good. Still C+.
Yeah, I'm going to start C. I mean, I think this is much worse than Revenge of the Drowned, right? I think it's the easy comparison to be like, oh, it's just Revenge of the Drowned. That 2/2 was a world of difference compared to this card, right?
Yeah.
Not quite the same, but I think it's still solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a C.
Okay.
Right.
And then last up, we've got Sewer Crocodile. This is 5 and a blue for a 4/6 Crocodile. You can pay 3 and a blue to make it not be able to be blocked this turn, but this ability costs 3 less to activate if there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard.
I mean, not. No, I don't like this card. But usually these kind of cards are not very good. Now,
no.
Mind you, one of the reasons they're not very good is because often these activation costs are like 7-6 mana. You have to spend your whole turn doing it. So if you can do it for 1,
but you don't
I'm
even
a little more interested.
And you don't even, 4 is also still like when you're late in the game, you can play a 3-drop or whatever.
Sure,
like,
sure.
I still think this is D+ material, but again, if I see this in someone's deck tech, I'm not going to be like, "What did you do?"
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna maybe I will pass judgment on it, but silently, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. D+. Moving on to the uncommons. What do we got?
All right. First uncommon here. We've got an offer you can't refuse. Single blue mana for an instant. Counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 tokens. Two treasure tokens.
This is yeah.
I think this card's quite bad actually. I think you're often. No, I don't want to say down on the exchange, but
you're not because most often you're playing this late in the game where the treasures are probably not going to matter. But I still think this is a sideboard card.
Yeah, are you playing it late in the game often though? It's interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I think that's often when I think about a 4-mana removal spell getting fired off, that's probably turn 6.
Yeah, you can also just say like I'm just holding this to later in the game, right? Until it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I think if we just say this as a sideboard card, not sure actually if it's even a great sideboard card, but sideboard card is probably great.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Next up, we have Hypnotic Grifter. Single blue for a 1/2 human rogue with a 3 mana activated ability to connive. So repeatable connive here.
Yeah, it's really so 3 mana to keep looting. I don't love that. I mean, you're not going to pitch. Okay, so here's how I'm breaking this down. When you play this early, it's not going to grow very much because you're not going to be spending 3 mana to pitch unless you're very desperate for lands. You're not going to be spending 3 mana to pitch spells, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a late game mana sink where you're like, all right, late game, I'm spending 3 mana to rummage through my deck or loot through my deck, and that's okay. Maybe the idea, and maybe this is how it's going to play out, is you just play this on 1, turn 3, you hold this up, and their 2/2s can't attack into this, right? Because you just have the threat of being able to eat their 2/2s. Maybe that's the idea. It's kind of like a threat of activation thing.
Sure. I also think you like your little green 1/2 with that weird double strike ability. This is better than that.
I won't. I will nor confirm or deny that, Ethan.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think this is fine. I think it's a C minus.
Yeah, I think I can get on board with that. It's not exciting. It's really interesting though. We keep saying that these connive cards. They're not exciting, but maybe they're just going to play out a little bit better.
There are
like,
there are very few mana sinks in the format. This I think could make this feel even better. Like, I could really see this feeling like if the format is grindy or if you're in a grindy matchup, this card could just be like, oh my god, they're just like getting so much value off of this in terms of looting, or I can't attack into it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, I can buy it. So yeah, C minus.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Next up, we got Slip Out the Back. Single blue mana for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It phases out.
Do you know what this interacts with? Blitz.
What, Ethan?
Blitz.
Oh, Blitz? Oh, that's weird.
So you blitz out the thing. You use this on it. You put the +1/+1 counter on it. It phases out. When it phases back in, it still has the draw a card when it dies text on it.
Weird. It does combo with that. I don't think it's going to come up very often, but it does combo with that.
It's in Obscura? It's not?
Sure. I guess so. Yeah, you're going to have some Blitz cards.
Or not, sorry, not in Obscura. In Maestros.
Right, because you're going to have double. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Do you like it because of that? Or is this
I do like that. I do like it because of that. I mean, I don't like it a lot, but I did not consider that when I first read this card, and I think that makes me a little more excited about it.
I think it's a little trinkety cute, but I can buy that might be a thing. Okay, so forget about that Blitz thing for a minute.
I can't. I won't.
Yeah, it's so ingrained. I mean, is it a good protection spell? I don't particularly think so.
No,
it's worse than the other one we saw, the white one. I think the shield counter one.
I don't know. They're both bad. Like, they're both D's. Like, this is. Yeah, I don't think this card is good, but I just didn't. I didn't have that.
Little interaction. You want to show the folks at home, basically.
That's right.
Right.
I want everyone to know how smart I am, and by me,
yes, exactly.
By me, I mean Strix Familiar.
This is a very Alex thing to say, honestly. Just, did you know it has this little small interaction?
Well, I actually like this card quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little chat, Alex.
Ooh.
1 and a blue for an instant with casualty 1. Look at the top. 2 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library.
Yeah, I actually like this one.
This is good.
Yeah, it's kind of Reckoner's Bargaining. Not that that's a great card, but the 2 mana sack, draw 2 cards.
That card was
but with
good.
selection, that's nice.
Yeah, agreed.
And of course, there's gonna be things you want to sack in the set, like we've been saying. So,
the fact that it's instant speed, you can do this in response to a removal spell.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is a C.
Yeah, I can see this being C+, but I'll join you in C there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, we got Fairy Vandal, old favorite. 1 and a blue for a 1/2 flash flyer. When you draw your second card each turn, you put a counter on it.
Yeah, I'm into this. I think this is a really good card. Super cheap. I think it's probably not with Connive difficult to trigger this a few times.
Yeah.
Even triggering this once, make it a 2 mana 2/3 flyer. That's really good. And there are 1/1s, like ambushing a 1/1 is not crazy.
I think this card is really good in this set.
Yeah.
Every time you connive.
Yeah. It's like you're double conniving. But you can just pitch a land. And you get the counter on this. This card's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think this might be one of the better uncommons in this set.
I think it's the best blue uncommon.
Yeah, I like it. What do you want to give it?
I give it a B minus.
Yeah, I'm in there. I could even see it rising up to like a B.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Cool.
Okay. All right, next card is Public Enemy. 2 and a blue for an aura. Enchant creature. All creatures attack enchanted creature's controller each combat if able. When enchanted creature dies, draw a card.
Such a weird, like this accidentally got put in the set from the commander file, I think.
All creatures attack enchanted creatures. So you play this on your opponent's card.
You play on your own card, right?
You play it on your own card. Make them attack you.
Yeah.
Chump with something or trade with something. This is horrible. This is a terrible Magic card.
So, I guess the idea is you want to put it on something big, and your opponent has to attack into your wall of creatures. It's just a lot to set up.
This card's terrible. You gave this an F, and you're not a coward, and I'm not either. I'm gonna give it an F.
I think this is gonna be one of those cards that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe my opponent got me with this card, because there are gonna be situations where it's really brutal for you.
I know.
I don't think it's good.
I'm gonna give Ben 3 days to message me on Discord about how he can't believe he's so tilted because he can't believe he lost to this card.
Yeah, it is a very tilt-inducing card, but I don't think it's a good one. All right, next up we got Wing Shield Agent. 2 and a blue for a 2/3 human soldier. Enters with a shield counter. When it attacks up to one other target creature, gains flying until end of turn.
This is a good card.
Yeah, I think it is worse than like these, the Pegasus Courser kind of things, or the Rock Charger, whatever version you're used to, because that always kept getting in. You get one good hit in with this, and then they have to, make some sort of awkward block to make the shield counter off, or maybe it's an okay block for them. But I think getting the first hit in is pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, the thing that Ben had to remind me of, I think I started lower on this on the podcast. The thing Ben had to remind me of was like, don't knock it because like sometimes this doesn't have a good attack or whatever. Like, that's just all pure. A 3-mana 2/3 with a shield counter is good. That the rest of that text, when that's good, great.
Right.
When it's not good, great. Don't attack with it. Just have your 3-mana 2/3 with the shield counter.
I think I'm still not going to be super high on it. I think I'm just going to give it a C. But did you want to give it a higher grade?
I'm going to go C+ on it. I think it's
that's fair.
It's pretty darn good.
I'll say it's C, but
yeah.
All right, next up we got Out of the Way. 3 and blue for an instant. It costs 2 less if it targets a green permanent. Return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Draw a card.
Yeah. Wait, what? This is interesting. What did you give the? Oh, you gave that a B-. Okay. No. What did you run out of town? You gave a C. This is a full letter grade higher.
Yeah, I think the you draw a card text is better than they miss their draw step, and anytime you can, like, you remember how brutal it was when you got to bounce their 2-drop in Crimson Veil, bounce their werewolf with Lunar Rejection? That was just, you felt like the game was over at that point.
Did I?
I mean, I don't know. I did.
All right. That's interesting. Yeah, I think of these as similar. I guess this is better.
I think it's quite a bit better. I think just being able to, like, it's a little bit more flexible. It can also target your own stuff too. Oh, and opponent control. Sorry, you actually can't do that. So that's actually worth noting. Okay, maybe a little bit lower, but still, I think you drawing a card is enough better than them not redrawing that card or drawing a new card.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with C+ on this, but you're up on B here.
Yeah, I'll give it a B.
Sweet. I want this card to be good. I don't think it is, though. Sleep with the Fishes. 2 blue for an aura enchanted creature. When Sleep with the Fishes enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature and you create a 1/1 blue fish creature token with. This creature can't be blocked. An enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. I mean, I gave this a B- initially. I really do think aura-based removal is bad. Like, it's really hard with Casualty for me to feel that good about it, especially because 3 of the 5 colors have access to Casualty, right? So I don't know. I'm not so crazy. Initially, I was like, this is like blue Fiend Hunter. It's a 4-mana 1/1 kill the thing. Now it's in a way it's kind of better than Fiend Hunter because even if they kill the 1/1, it doesn't deal with this. But I do think the downside of the aura really does exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that much worse than the card you're describing. Like, not quite Dungeon Geisty, but it's got a lot of that feel. I think this card's very good. I think that, yes, that downside exists, and you're going to feel a little bit... I don't even think you're going to feel that bad, though, because you're going to get... Like, that 1/1 unblockable is going to feel like a real card.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I think this is closer to, like, feeling like a 2-for-1 than not, even when you get blown out.
Even when they have Casualty?
Right. Yeah, I think this card's very good. I'm going to give this a B.
All right, I'm going to go B- here.
Sweet.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm optimistic about that.
All right.
All right, and our last blue uncommon here is Psychic Pickpocket. 4 and a blue for a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, it connives, and when it connives this way, return up to 1 target non-permanent to its owner's hand.
Oh, this card's good.
The big Manowar, or an expensive one at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so your
but
5
then you're
drop...
so likely to be able to pitch a land. Like, you don't care about this being a 5-mana 4/3. Like, 5-mana 3/2, bounce a thing and loot.
Yep,
that's so good.
Also worth noting, I think this might trip some people up. If this gets removed in response, it doesn't matter. A creature can connive even when it's not on the battlefield. It's a weird thing, but you're not gonna get denied the bounce if they remove it in response.
Yep, that's a good point.
Yep. What do you want to give it?
B-, I think.
Yeah, let's do it. B-.
All right, home stretch here. Let's move on to our last color here, black. Cutthroat Contender is up first. Single black for a 1/1, and you can pay 1 life to give it +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn.
So, as much as I like my 1-drops, I don't think it's it. I don't think this one's it, Ethan. I think
I don't know.
This one is a little bit dorky.
Alex from last night gave it a C-.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can only give a 1-drop such low, so low of a grade, but I don't think it's a great one, though, is what I'm getting at. So if you're very aggressive, say like a base black aggro deck with some red cards in there, yeah, like a 2-power attacker is okay, but it gets blanked pretty quickly. It trades with everything. And you having to pay life to make it a 2-1 is a real cost, even against a more controlling deck, right? Even against a slower deck, because if you start the game at 15, well, it just means they can turn the corner on you so much quicker. Often what happens against an aggressive deck is you go, well, I'd like to kill them so they don't start drawing into their burn or cards that help them push damage, but I can't really pressure them. If you're starting at 15, your opponent can pressure you a bit better, and then you don't have as much time to draw into those cards to help you push damage. So I think it's easy to be like, oh, you don't care about your life total as the aggro deck. You still kind of do, and because of that, I don't think I'm into this card.
No, I think this card is a D. I don't like.
Yeah,
this
you want to
card
give it
at
even lower grade?
all. Nah, I'm giving it a D.
Yeah, I could see this just being like, you know what, you actually don't.
And for all the folks who are throwing out like, oh, it's a 1-mana 2/1. No, it's not. Oh, it's a it enables casualty too. Yeah, for the cost of a card. This card is not good.
Yeah, it's. I can definitely name some good things about it, but I think most of the stuff is not so great stuff.
I can name some good things about this card though.
Yeah, I love this one. So Corrupt Court Official, 1 and a black for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card. Where have we seen that before, Ethan?
Ravenous Rats.
Yeah, I think. Or there's a card from Portal way back. Yeah. Actually, this card is from Portal. This is actually a reprint. Yeah, I didn't know that until recently. So, is this a good Virus Beetle, Ravenous Rats format?
Yeah. I think we may just be in an age of every piece of cardboard matters.
Every piece of cardboard. Yeah, I do like that new mantra.
And whereas like before you could be like, I'm gonna pitch a land. Well, you don't like when blood exists, when connive exists, when whatever, when you're trying to get to 7 mana, when you're doing loops, whatever it is, like it's just so good.
Yeah, we're also gonna see a few cards coming up soon that this card plays particularly well with. Aside from the the sacrifice synergy you've been talking about, and the casualty cards. So I mean, I think this card is not going to be as good as Virus Beetle, but it's going to be really close, I think. And that's just like a prediction based on.
And there's more 1 toughness creatures in this format than there was in Neo.
Right. Yeah, I'm into it. I want to give.
You gave it a B. I like that.
Let's do it. Let's
go
do
B minus on the Corrupt Court Official.
Sweet.
Next up is Crooked Custodian, which is 1 and a black for a 3/2 Ogre Rogue, and it enters the battlefield tapped.
I don't like this card very much. I think that enter tap is a bigger downside than you might think, and a 3/2 is really not much different from a 2/2 when you're an aggressive deck. Like it is, but as far as trading goes, your opponent can trade with a 2/2 just as easily as a 3/2. I think this card's not very good. I'm gonna give it a D.
Yeah, I think that seems fair. I'll go D+ on the Custodian.
Sweet. All right, next up we've got Extract the Truth. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Choose one. Target opponent reveals their hand. You can choose a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker from it. That player discards that card. Or target opponent sacks an enchantment.
Yeah, it's probably not good.
Yeah, you had some musings about this card.
Yeah, I went on a journey with this card a little bit. Just because it's like it costs 2 mana, and nabbing the creature is often what you do in Limited, but also often in Limited you want to nab the removal spell, or it's just probably too narrow of a card. So
yeah,
I'm going to go like, maybe it's just a sideboard card if you see like some Busto 6-drop creature from them.
Yeah, it's a versatile sideboard card.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine there.
Next up is Fake Your Own Death. This is 1 and a black for an instant. Till end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and you create a treasure token. This effect is just always good, right?
Yeah, we just had what was it? The one from Neon Dynasty, which wasn't all that good, but that only gave +1 and like gave lifelink, and it had some knobs that they turned on the card, and I think for the worst. And I think giving it +2 changes to changing it for the better, and the treasure making on this card is actually a pretty big bonus too. And plays well with the Corrupted Court Official we just saw. Plays well with all of your casualty enablers. Plays well with a lot of the cards in this set. It's just a lot of ETBs. Yeah, I think this card is going to start out really low for a lot of people, and I think this is just going to creep into, wow, I actually just want a copy or two of these in all of my black decks.
Yep, I think that's true. Yeah. I'm going to go C on Fake.
Yeah, let's do that.
Next up, what do we got?
Next up on the list, we have...
Incriminate. 1 and a black for sorcery. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by the same player. That player sacrifices one of them.
Yeah, weird card. Thoughts?
I don't like this card.
Yeah, I think it's...
I don't like edicts. I really don't like an edict where you never get like an Edict you can't play on turn 2 because they probably won't have 2 creatures. And then an Edict that's never going to, I don't know, then it's a removal spell that never gets their best thing. I guess it gets their second best thing. So it's better than an Edict later in the game. I don't like this card.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's very similar. I think you're going to have a lot of, again, similar to that Public Enemy card. You're going to have Ben being like, oh my God, I can't believe show you the screenshot of his 2 awesome cards that he has to, so one of them he has to sacrifice. But I don't think it's going to be a great card. No. Like, kill their second best creature is going to be a good effect sometimes, and then sometimes you're just going to be like, they've all just got a bunch of 2/2s and 2/3. Like I don't really care. Killing a brand like one of them is not going to be that good. So
the comparison that we made on the podcast now 2 weeks in a row is from Mutiny from Rivals of Ixalan. The thing about Mutiny is you can still kill their best thing.
Right. Sometimes, yeah.
Right. So and Incriminate just can't do that. So I'm on D there. Next is Dig Up the Body. 2 and a black for an instant with casualty 1. Mill 2 cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, I actually like this one quite a bit. I think this is one of the better casualty cards.
Yeah, I agree.
So we just, again, another synergy card with the Virus Beetle. There's also notably, you can get the thing you sacrifice, right? So if it has a good enter the battlefield effect, you can get it back. It's kind of, it's a little soul salvage-ish card. Gives you some selection too. I think that's not to, not to overlook that. Also an instant, right? I think it gives me a little bit of seasonal renewal vibes, sort of a little bit different, of course, but I don't know. I actually really like this card. I'm going to start this one. Kind of want to give this a C+, honestly.
Yeah, well, Alex last night wanted to give it a B-.
Oh, wow. Maybe I'll even, last night Alex can talk myself up a little bit. I don't know. I think C+.
C+ is good. I'm on C for Dig Up the Body. Like you're really not playing multiples of these.
Yeah.
But my guess is every black deck is going to want a copy of this. Like you're going to end the draft and you'll be like, I didn't get a Dig Up the Body. That stinks.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, next up, we got Maestro's Initiate. 2 and a black for a 3/1. It's a human citizen. It's got a 4 and a hybrid ability, so 5 mana. Exile Maestro's Initiate from your graveyard. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card.
I really like this card.
Yeah, this is a nice one. It's just a nice little. I mean, it takes some time, but it is a 2-for-1 with a little bit of selection.
Who is this Alex from last night? What happened last night? Alex put all his grades in the spreadsheet last night. I think he thought he was helping me, but really he was sabotaging me because I keep going. So you're gonna give it this grade, and he goes, yeah, 1 gradation lower.
Higher, you're lower, yeah.
But this is great. Like Maestro's Initiate, like you can pitch it to your connive stuff. You can sacrifice it to casualty. Just the 3 mana 3/1, which isn't an insane rate, but whatever. Blocks fine against some higher toughness creatures.
Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna give it a C+.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna go C on this. I like it a lot.
Sweet. Next up, we got Midnight Assassin. 2 and a black for a 1/2 vampire assassin. It's got flying and death touch.
It's a Stinkweed Imp, right?
Yeah, Stinkweed Imp. Sure.
Just a little different.
Yeah,
this is fine. This is
not as good in constructed.
Just a C. Like,
yeah, it's a fine roadblock. I don't even know if you're. I mean, yeah, it's a fine roadblock.
Yeah, it's fine. I think this is nothing really we need to talk about here.
Yep.
How about Murder? 1 black for an instant. Destroy target creature.
All right. So if you forgot about our conversation from 2 hours ago, let me start from the beginning. No, I won't. I won't go through the whole removal spell speech just yet or anymore. But yeah, it's a good card. I can't rate it too low, right? I think that instant speed.
I would like to. I would like to have my takes have this be low.
Yeah,
this was my number 1 black common, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you got to put it there. I think it's just too efficient. Yeah, double black's gonna be a thing that you're gonna worry about sometimes. You can't play this and if you're like base blue red, which you're not gonna be often, and then your black is your splash.
Shouldn't be ever, right?
Right. So let's just change that to something else. Something where your black isn't your main color. That's like your tertiary color.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a bit of a problem. But even still, you're going to take his card early. You're going to play it. It's instant speed. It kills anything. You're going to even in all those things that are true that we've been talking about where it's 2 for, the set is full of 2-for-1s. It's still just efficient enough that it's going to be a great card.
Yep. I'm going B- on Murder.
Yep. I'm in for that.
Next up. Oh, yeah. Talk to me about this card.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is a good one. So next up, we have got... Oh, where'd it go?
Deal Gone Bad, Alex, is the card. It's 3 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, and target player mills 3 cards.
don't like it. I don't like it very much.
I don't either. I'm more excited for the self-mill than I am for the -3/-3.
And I don't think I'm that excited about the self-mill.
Yeah.
I thought we were out of this phase of Magic where they gave us 4 mana, -3, -3
Yeah,
on our
strangling spores or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
I think this feels like more of a necessary evil than something I'm ever interested in playing.
Yeah, I think so too. Like the milk clause is relevant for some of your decks, but it doesn't bump it up enough that you're really going to care about that, right? So I don't know. I think this card is playable, right? I think it's gonna be a card that makes your deck sometimes. You're not gonna be embarrassed, but
yes, this can kill shield counters, so certainly maybe you bring it out of the board a little more often if you're playing best of 3, though most people are not playing best of 3. I'm still giving this a C. I don't like this.
Yeah, I think this is not a card I'm gonna be. You're gonna take it again. You're gonna take it on the wheel. Sometimes you'll play it.
Yeah, everyone's talking about how this like kills everything with a shield counter straight up. There's like 8 things with shield counters on them.
Yeah, it's not gonna matter.
It's
all
really
that
not
much.
coming up that much.
Next up is Demon's Due. 3 and a black for an instant. Scry 2, draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. It's Read the Bones, but it's an instant.
No, thank you.
Yeah, very similar to Case the Giant, where we're like, it digs deeper, right? That's definitely an upside.
Sure.
I think you would pay 2 life to do that. I think this is better than Case the Giant. Even still, not that interested. I think you want your card advantage from onboard stuff, even from dig up the body like you were talking about. I think this is not a very good card. Give it a D.
Yeah, I'm in for D on the Demon's Due.
E.
Next up is Revel Ruiner, 3 and a black for a 3/1 Cephalid Rogue with Menace, and when it enters the battlefield, it connives.
No. I think this is probably the least good connive creature we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too low stats for the cost. And at this point, you're so much more inclined to pitch lands than you are to pitch spells. Like on the 2-drop that we saw in white, I'd be like, yeah, I can pitch a spell. That's fine. But this, I'm like, no, thank you.
I don't even think 3/1 Menace is that much different from 4/2 Menace. So it's like, it's going to be like,
right. Well,
3/1 Menace that draws you, pitches a land, if that's a good thing for you. Yeah, this is just very fillery. It's going to be a D.
I agree.
Yeah, I think you're going to play it sometimes.
Next up, really like this card.
Yeah, Girdergoons, this one's I'm interested in. Girdergoons is 4 and a black for a 4/4 Ogre Warrior. When it dies, you make a 2/2 black rogue creature token, Blitz, 3 and a black.
Yeah, this is just great.
Yeah, into this one. This is, so if you just think of this modally, right? You just think of it as like a 5 mana 4/4 dies into a 2/2. It's a good deal. Or you think of it as a 4 mana tapped 2/2 that draws you a card, deals them 4, or makes them jump. That's also a pretty good deal.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. I give it a C+.
Yeah, same.
Join the Maestros is 4 and a black for a sorcery with casualty 2. Create a 4/3 black ogre warrior creature token.
Yeah, very interesting. I think the times you have a deck that are good for this card, we've got a lot of the corrupted court officials, the 1 mana, or the 2 mana 1/1 comes in to make them discard a card, or anything just like foddery sitting around. It's gonna feel really good.
This doesn't work with that.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't. Yeah, that's true. Casualty 2. Ooh, that's rough. Okay. Well, it's gonna be a much narrower band of cards.
So think about this like 5 mana, make a 4/3, and give your 2-drop +2/+1 or +2/+2.
Right, yeah. That's
not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, you're still pretty happy about that.
You're still getting a lot of stats for 5 mana.
Yeah.
Like if your 2-drop already like did an ETB thing or whatever, like I don't think this is as good as what we just saw, but I still think it's a C. I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't think this isn't an embarrassing card by any means, right?
You don't get the new stats with haste. That's true, right? So
true.
I'm just trying to put it in words that you people out there will understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you want to give it?
I give it a C.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think it's certainly not as good as the Girdergoons, but I think it's good here. Next up is Grisly Sigil as our first uncommon. Single black for a sorcery with casualty 1. Choose target creature or planeswalker. If it was dealt non-combat damage this turn, Grisly Sigil deals 3 damage to it and you gain 3 life. Otherwise, Grisly Sigil deals 1 damage to it and you gain 1 life.
Right. So, the idea here is if you casualty it, you're going to be able to deal 4, of course, because the creature will go, you ping it once, and the second copy goes, hit it for 3.
Pay 4, gain 4.
That's good.
That's huge.
That's a really good effect.
Yeah.
And for 1 mana. Now, you have to sacrifice something, of course, but
casualty 1 is not crazy.
Not that hard.
And then you can pick off an X1 too. Just straight up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just go boom.
I think this is really good.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this card. I think you want to give it a B?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah, I think people are often underrate just life gain on these kind of effects, on just like any removal spell effects. It almost feels like a 2-for-1 a lot of the time. So yep, into it. Next up, we got an old classic, Tavern Swindler, 1 in a black for a 2/2. Tap, pay 3 life, flip a coin. If you win this flip, you gain 6 life.
Why is this here?
Flavor. I think flavor. There's 1 or 2 cards that care about losing, gaining life.
And they didn't call it the Tinder Swindler. I can't believe it.
This is so the idea with this card is that like you can get lucky and sometimes you gain life, but it's a wash overall, right? Because you're even on life over the course of X number of turns.
Seeing this card, this was originally in Return to Ravnica. Seeing this card reprinted like over and over again is so confusing to me because I'm like 10 years ago this card wasn't good.
Yeah.
Why are we still anyway? Yeah, give this a D.
Yeah, this is a bear. It's a bear with slight upside if there's a card we're gonna see in a second where it actually matters, but mostly just a bear, so that's a D.
This card is so good. Night Clubber is 1 black for a 2/2 human warrior. When it enters the battlefield, create your opponent's control or creatures your opponent's control get -1/-1 until end of turn, and it has Blitz for 2 and a black.
Yeah, Night Clubber is great. I think this effect we've already seen a ton of X1s, like we were saying. Even though there isn't a ton of X1s, it's gonna kill something most likely, or finish something off in combat. Sometimes you're gonna blitz this, and it's just gonna make a combat really, really tough for the opponent. Yeah, I think this card is really, really good.
Yeah, this is great. I think this is the best uncommon in the set.
Wow, really?
Or maybe at least best
monocolored.
Best monocolored uncommon in the set.
I'm giving it a B+, so I guess that checks out for as far as ratings we've been giving cards. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Sweet.
All right, next up we got Raffian Silencer, 2 in a black for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you connive, and when it dies, certain creature your opponent controls gets -X until end of turn, where X is Raffian Silencer's power.
Yeah, I think this card's just like a notch below Night Clubber.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm a little bit lower on it. So you have to pitch a spell to this because if you don't,
no, you don't.
Well, most of the time I think you will. Your thought is you trade with a 2/2 and it's still fine.
Or Alex, there are so many 1 toughness creatures.
So yeah, so it's gonna be an annoyance either way.
Yeah, you chump, kill their X1.
Right.
Block their X1, kill their other X1.
Yeah.
I think this is your opponent's gonna put this on the battlefield and you're gonna go, how do I not get too burned by this?
I'm gonna think that with all my cheap, stupid X1 creatures
For sure.
that I'm playing on turn 1, turn 2. Yeah, okay, I can buy. So,
and what if you do want to pitch a spell and now this is a 2/2 that trades and then kills a 2/2 or an X2? That's so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant on the whole death trigger thing still. I guess, yeah, again, this is a good thing to sacrifice.
In a set with sacrifice and casualty?
Yeah. All right. You talked me up a little bit. So what do you want to give it?
I give it a B.
Wow, that's super, super high. I'm willing to go to C+, but also willing to be wrong. So I'll say C+, but we'll see.
You see this card, this doesn't pull you into black?
I don't think so. I mean, a little bit maybe, but I don't think it's amazing.
I think this is better than Murder.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Better than Murder. Straight up. All right, next up is Rogue's Gallery. 2 and a black for a sorcery. For each color, return up to 1 target creature card of that color from your graveyard to your hand.
I really like this card. I think this card's great.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, last night, Alex thought it was even better because I gave it a B+. I was really generous with this card. I don't think it's quite there, but I do think it's in the B range. I think it's really, like, you're going to be able to buy back 3 things not infrequently with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is... soul salvage at its minimum.
In a color that has self-mill sometimes, too.
Exactly. Even with the dig up the body we saw, you're going to be able to mill yourself, give yourself some selection. There's a little bit of awkwardness where it's like, sometimes you want to buy back 2 mono black cards or whatever, and when you can't get both, but that's fine. Like, the times you get back 3 things are going to make up for that. So, yeah, I'll give it a B, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to B-. I think it's, I think there's a little bit of tension with Dig Up the Body at common, but it's very, very good. And yes, to answer folks' questions in chat, I'm definitely going to be getting back 5 creatures with this at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
No question.
Next up, we have Whack. 3 and a black for a sorcery. This spell costs 3 less to cast if it targets a white creature. Target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn.
Yeah, this is another very solid removal spell.
Yeah, I think so too. I would probably... So the baseline of 4 mana sorcery speed mostly kill something. -4, is not great, right? We're not super happy.
It's
But the
fine.
times, again, just like we said for all these cards, the times you do it for 1 mana, wow, is that going to feel insane? And it's going to happen like a decent amount of the time. So I'm willing to give this a B just for the upside of the times you do it for 1 mana. I think the games you do that, you're just going to feel so far ahead.
Yeah, I'm going C+ on this. Like, I'm not. Yeah, I think this is worse than the Silencer, for example. I think this is worse than Murder. So I'm gonna go C+.
Yep, sounds good.
Next up is Graveyard Shift. 4 and a black for a sorcery. It has flash as long as there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
We haven't seen a ton of giant things to bring back, right?
There are, in fact, I mean, I'm sure there are rares, but like the biggest thing is what? The green 6/6?
Yeah. Flash on your reanimation spell is something, right?
It's got some back for more vibes a little bit,
right?
But
yeah, a little bit. Can't get the nasty 3-for-1, but it's possible to get a 2-for-1 for this. The baseline of these cards is not very good, right? You have to have some sort of combo where you're like, I get this thing into my graveyard easily with cycling, or you have some way to maybe connive, right? Connive is a way to get a big creature into the graveyard.
But are you really getting that big of a? You're not getting any sort of discount. It's not like cycling the Titanoth Rex and then reanimating it. Like, you're getting maybe a 1 mana reduction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're going to want this with rares. I think you're going to want this with, maybe, like a 6/6 and a green-black deck, which is specifically Riveteers, I suppose. But, yeah, I don't think this is a great card.
I'm going D on this.
I think so, too. Good. These like, kind of spells have just been unimpressive for many, many sets now.
Speaking of unimpressive.
Yeah, Illicit Shipment. 3 black for a sorcery. I think this is our first Casualty 3 card. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So for the low price of 5 mana and sacking one of your 3 power creatures, you can go draw the 2 best cards from your deck.
No, thank you.
No thanks. Yeah, I think this is just an F.
This is an F.
Never play this card.
It's
like all the downsides about like a demonic tutor, like a 4 mana diabolic tutor. It's like, okay, you take some time off. You're not spending the time stabilizing the board. It's that, but so much more because it's 5 and you're sacrificing your board. It's real bad.
Next is Vampire Scrivener. 4 and a black for a 2/2 Vampire Warlock with flying. Whenever you gain life during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Vampire Scrivener. Whenever you lose life during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Vampire Scrivener.
Yep, so this is the one I was talking about with Tavern Swindler, right?
Tinder Swindler, yeah.
Yeah, you can make this a 4/4 right away if you get very lucky. Lose some life, then gain some life. I mean, it can get out of hand. It can definitely, if you have that 1 drop that you pay life, I guess. Also, there's like lifelink.
You have named 2 cards that combo with this that I'm hoping to never put in my deck.
Right, exactly.
So I guess I hope I'm never putting this in my deck.
Yeah, it's a weird card in this set. There's like not a lot of support for it. So I think the base rate on this is too bad.
I always say you want to play bad cards to make your bad cards better,
As a classic Ethan saying, he always says that. He always says, put those bad cards in your deck, folks. Yeah, I think this card's just bad. I think I'm gonna give it like a D.
Yeah, I'm with you on D. All right, take us home here.
Yeah, last one here. Dusk Mangler. 5 black, 7 mana for a 5/4 to horror. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sack a creature, discard a card, or pay for life. When it ETBs, each opponent sacks a creature, discards a card, and loses 4 life. So you only have to do 1; they do all 3.
For and 7 combos with reanimate, because then you don't.
There you go.
Then you have no downside.
Yeah, there's the one pretty good thing to reanimate.
This is interesting to me.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Because these are. Getting all 3 effects is pretty good, and you likely will have something to sacrifice, or you discard a land, though not likely with 7 mana. Pay for life. I don't know. I don't hate this card.
Yeah, I don't hate this card either. It's hard to kind of put a grade on because it's going to be very, I think, dependent on, do you have a deck that is good at stabilizing, good at maybe you have the reanimation spell. I think it has spots. I don't really want to give it a high grade necessarily. I don't know. Do you? Are you?
I would give it a C+, I think.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. I think in the grading I gave it a synergy B, and that was the thought of if you do have that reanimation spell, I think it's pretty good. I think generally I think C+ is about right though.
Yeah, and well, I mean, you could in Riveteers you have some treasure maybe and power this out a little bit, or yeah, I don't know.
Treasures actually
just a little scary to me, Yeah, I don't know.
Treasures makes this better, for
7 mana. You can't give it that high of a grade, I don't think. But I think every time this hits the battlefield, it's going to be impactful.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Yeah, got through the commons and uncommons.